track in the past was described by Jack Villeneuve as nothing but a go-kart track. Many drivers here find the lack of grip and the closed walls a bit of a challenge. In real life, it's dusty and it's low grip. The game pretty much follows the same art here. It's very low grip, very high tyre wear, and it'd be interesting to see if these drivers can get the best out of the conditions. Good evening to all of you. I'm Pete Markroft, and joining me in the box, as usual, is Jan Fitz. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Pete. Great to speak to you once again for the Sunday night streams, the F1 division. We have 15 drivers out of, or 13 drivers, sorry, plus us too. So it's nearly a full lobby. You should expect TRL buttons to turn up sometime.
1:16.9 from Fearless to go provisional pole.
That is quick. Andy claiming pole position last season with a 1:17.4, so the improvement is there. And Andy, this was an absolute dominant performance last season by over a minute and 10 seconds, I believe he won the race. So can he do it again this season? Yeah,
it's interesting to see if he can. Now, the lap times are very consistent, because from second place down to 4, we've only got 4/10 difference. 17.1 to second place, Slaki Tarko, down to Velocity in 4th place on a 17.5. All those guys on the options, Seyaru, I don't even know who that guy is, that's a 1:17.6 for 5th place, not a bad start at all. Moving down, LGS has gone for another 1:17.8 on the options, and then 1:17.8 but on the prime tyres from Ice Cold Andy. So Andy's certainly got some pace there. It's a question of whether the tyres, though, are 7/10 apart. I'm not so sure about that.
It's a short lap, isn't it, around here? And it is only one step, so maybe it's half a second. I'm not too sure. But, yeah, you would have thought, get TRL button in. I know he's in the 17s on the prime, so he'd be bang in there. But yeah, crikey, there, the top 7 in a very, very close sort of order at the moment.
Indeed. Now, at the moment, everybody else is on in-laps or out-laps, so I'm going to try and find who's closest to starting a new lap. Not many people out there at the front. I think actually Lewis Hamilton might be our best bet. On the prime tyres going through Sector 2, it's kind of like Suzuka section with lots of fast chicanes. Before you enter this part, there's a lot of debris on the track, but it doesn't get stuck to your tyres. And of course, the stewards have been looking out very much through turns 4 and 15, particularly for corner track extending. Very easy to go wide there and gain a lot of time at those 2 corners. And I'm pretty certain drivers will be needing to keep well within the white lines if they want to avoid getting the wrath of the stewards this weekend. And in fact, Lewis Hamilton's gone back into the box. He's not even started his lap. Well, that's very bizarre, because he's done a full lap on the outlap, but not actually gone through to start. Meanwhile, Notice 91, he's on an outlap way up back on the field. I'm trying to find someone who's actually started. Mr. Indigo on board him in the Red Bull. It's gone through turn 1, went a little too tight into it. Didn't really get to the outside apex. That's compromised him into turn 2, the second of the DRS zones. But he's managed to, lost it on the outskirt. They've got a lot of squirrely on the acceleration. Very poor traction into turn 3.
I'm on board with NMR Mr. Indigo. He's just finished the first. It all runs wide. That's something we're going to have to watch out for in the race.
Turn 4, definitely one of the corners where people will find it very easy to drive wide and get a lot of time. We saw Roman Grosjean get a penalty on Felipe Massa in the 2012 season. So it's definitely something you can get picked up, 2013 season. So it's definitely something you can get picked up on in real life, and art will imitate it for sure. Now, heading through the chicane section, Indigo looks pretty strong here. Avoids going off the track at the end there to start of Sector 3. Good driver so far.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. He's on the option tyre, so you would hopefully expect him to be, you know, fighting maybe for a mid-17, so let's keep an eye on him.
He's coming in. He's gone into the box. That's a real surprise. He's obviously bought into the lap. Notice 91, meanwhile, he's on the Williams going through turn 3. Lap time looks reasonable, but I'd say he's probably about half a second, maybe a second off the ultimate pace there. Another one who goes wide at turn 4. Yes, it's easy to do it, but it doesn't mean you should keep doing it. And if drivers are doing that in the race, they will find themselves on the wrong side of the stewards. We've seen quite a lot of penalties being given out for that. It's disappointing that the drivers are not yet picking up on it. Of course, for those of you who watched the actual Austrian Grand Prix, which was live last weekend, one of the things they were looking out for there was at turn 8 where drivers were going wide. And I remember Martin Brundle describing it as having to take away the driver's toys. Probably the best phrase for it.
Yeah, that is right. That's correct. You know, F1 drivers, F1 division drivers for us, and real life F1 drivers, wherever they think they can find that extra few tenths or not even like hundredths of a second, they will do it. So yeah, it's just something you'll keep on board with in the race and make sure they know that they can do it.
1:17.3 for Notice though, goes provisional P3. Not bad at all, but Psychic Tarko, I think he's on his second run here. on the option tyres from the Mercedes. He was currently in P4 on a 117.4. Oh, very bad tyre swirl through that tight chicane at the start of sector 2 and into the Suzuka S's kind of section here. Traction was quite poor in that Mercedes. Seems to be really struggling and kicked up the dust and gone very wide.
Very wide, yeah. Never got into the corner to start off with and just could not get the car turned in.
And of course, the problem there is that he's obviously kicked up the dust and technically gained a few tenths. But look at how little traction they've got through turn 14 here. Really poor grip at those hairpins. And then there's this that's exactly how you should take it. You have to attack the pit wall. It's like the entry at the Nürburgring. You've got to really attack it. A 17.2.
Can't believe that's quicker. I just can't believe that was quicker from what we saw. It just looked so scruffy, and he's gone 2/10 quicker and into provision.
Velocity in the Lotus, meanwhile, in P5, going through for a final another run. Is he going to improve? 17.5 is previous end, 117.1 goes P3, so the track appears to be rubbering in, and the guys are definitely getting more pace. So Tarko's going very slowly down towards turn 2. He's just been on the pace now, but I'm wondering if he's got a connection problem, because he seems to suddenly drop off the pace dramatically. Meanwhile, XRL, yes, he's pulled over to the inside on the pit lane there, or maybe he's just completed a run trying to save his tyres. Meanwhile, Seiyaru is coming into turn 13, new driver, I believe, doing a pretty decent job on the McLaren so far. 1:17.6, the best effort. Into turn 14. Nice white line without going over. It looks quite impressive, this. Question is, can he improve? Goes wide at the start of the final turn and tries to cut back in. A bit more like a Le Mans line rather than an F1 line there. And that's a 1:17.2, but only good enough for 5th place. These guys are really, really close. You know, I'm being told by the Paragon that apparently my stream audio is really jumbled and really bad echo.
I was literally about to say that. It sounds like apparently there's 20 Swishbones speaking at the same time. So I don't know what's happening there. I'm not sure what that is, but
on my end, I've got everything switched off. Everything's muted. I've got no outside audio apart from the actual headset, which I'm listening to, so I don't know where that's come from. I've literally got nothing else on at the moment.
It's an odd one. It's really hard to sort of say what's wrong without really seeing it for me. Should be okay on channel 1, so if anyone wants to click onto that or have multi-twitch open, so you can have them both open at once, and once it's all fixed, the issue with the audio, then you can go back to watching it. I don't know. I don't really know what's gone on with that.
I'm going to try and do a restart. I'm not sure what's happened here, but as I say, I mean, I've not changed any of my settings from last week.
No. Jigsaw's is signing in for the evening. He's just watching it. He's hoping to see a good battle between Velexity and Fearless. Those two being very, very close in the championship this season. We're on board with Mr. Ice Cold Andy. P8 on the prime tyres with a 17.8. Does he dive into the pits? No, he doesn't. He's going to finish his lap. Goes around the final corner, keeps it nice and tight, and actually has a bit of curves left over, so he uses it and gets over line and does a 17.6. Only good enough for P8. Does not improve on his time. 4 minutes left in the session. And crikey, this Fearless has got a 3/10 gap to Bobbitt, and Velexity just behind. Look at how close it is between the top 8. 8th place being on the primes, all the rest on the options. Unbelievably close. But no TRL
interesting to see where Indigo slots into all of this then, because Indigo now is going around the final. Oh, once again, it looks like he's going into the pits. He's still not settled that time anymore, Mr. Indigo. Really unsure what's going on here. I've just reactivated my stream meanwhile, so I'm not quite sure why you're picking up a lot of that. Oh, Jumbo made a big mistake at turn 3. Completely got that wrong. Went onto the grass. Very, very nearly lost that, but managed to just avoid going into the wall. But his lap time's definitely been ruined. Now, meanwhile, apparently it's been sorted. So whatever caused it, I do not know. Maybe there's a glitch gremlin involved.
Yeah, but I don't know how many people you got down on your end tonight, but we've got a good amount of you signing into Channel 1. Eyes the best, Crazy Fish, Mr. Steve-O, Riotous Tag, all signing in for the evening. Good evening to you all. I don't know who's watching Channel 2 or...
Well, I'll say, I mean, currently I've got a few people showing, but it's on my software, so I'm not entirely sure as to where it's come from.
No, give it a little bit of time, but yeah, good amount of you watching tonight, so it's good to see so many people watching, and these guys are really going at it tonight. A 1:16.7 from Fearless, the pole position time. And I know...
In the meantime now, yeah, Fearless looks like he's about to start a new lap. Apparently it starts fine, and then starts repeating what I said 10 seconds ago in the background. Let me find out if I've got something causing the problem here. Might be I've got some windows open I shouldn't be. So let's try that now. Maybe that'll change the matter. XRL Fearless going on to the start of the new lap here. DRS open down towards turn 1. Car's leaving the pit lane but slows down, gets totally out of the way. We are into turn 1 here, and he gets tight to the apex. Oh, almost goes all 4 tyres over, gets junk on the tyres there. That's going to lose so much traction heading down towards turn 2.
Keeping it nice and tight. Gets a little bit wide out of turn 2 though. Narrows the entry into turn 3 and has used all of his curves up to the run down to turn 4. Does he cut this or go wide?
Yes, he does.
So slight, not as much as some, but has done so nonetheless. Goes round
it's some of it's a real endemic problem. It's evidently one of those things. Drivers might have thought, oh well, if they're doing it, so can I. But the fact of the matter is, you only have to go out to Valencia 2012, where pretty much 18 cars got penalties for going into the pits too quickly under the safety car, to show that the stewards are not afraid of penalising the entire field, even if it's a moot point. The fact of the matter is a penalty is a penalty. So evidently these drivers have got to be very careful here, because it's only going to take someone who isn't doing that to find themselves taking a sneaky victory because everyone else gets demoted.
It's hard to sort of govern it in qualifying because well, we saw it in real life at Austria. They could penalise people's times. We can't penalise people's times, and actually Fearless has just improved by not even about half
100 per second or something.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing between them. Meanwhile, Velocity is about to go towards the final sector starter lap, but Seyaru, he's on a lap again. He's actually got a piece of traffic in the way in sector 2, but I don't know if that traffic's on an outlap because it looks like both of them are attacking. So with Seyaru, may find himself in real trouble here, being caught in the turbulent air on a high downforce track like this. And I get the feeling he might disappear into the pits rather than complete the lap. That Toro Rosso up ahead is really struggling for the final corners, and Seyaru, as I expected, dives straight into the pits.
Not a bad lap time from Seyaru though. I mean, that is one of his best laps of the week. I know it is. And it's good enough for P5, so it shows that he's competing in this division. How strict are we going to be on track extension, Swish? Well, I think we're going to be pretty strict. We can't really do it in qualifying.
You shall feel the iron hammer of justice!
We can't really do it in qualifying. It's not the easiest thing to do. We can't just, like, cancel drivers' laps. But as soon as it gets to the race, give or take the first couple of laps where everyone's a bit close and maybe trying to avoid incidents or things like that. Once it all starts to calm down, I'm definitely going to be I'm going to be doing each driver at least one or two, at least twice, I'd hope, and do sort of 6 laps of watching each driver.
Well, not as 91 there. It's just actually ruined his lap time. He cut the corner at the start of 4. So the game's evidently penalised. Now, Jambo has not yet set a lap time. This is totally all or nothing for Jambo in the Toro Rosso. Going into turn 13, gets a wide entry, but just about gets away with that. Into 14, this tricky hairpin corner where you got the concrete runoff on the inside, but it's very slippery, so it's not really that inviting. And into the final corner, tries to get close to the wall, misses the inside apex. Lap time's nothing special. Where's it going to put him on the board? A 1:17.5, good enough for 7th place at the moment. XRL Boberts, meanwhile.
Ooh. Curve just hit him off and no improvement from Boberts.
And that's the end. Interestingly though, NMR Mr. Indigo and ex-Lewis Hamilton, neither of them qualifying, and neither did Sean Bean, who somehow starts behind me.
Oh dear.
So that's a bit of a strange one. Meanwhile, on pole position though, XRL Fearless really putting the power down. On the stream, Paragon the 125 saying, good evening, nice to be finally joining you guys live again, it's been a while. Indeed it has, so enjoy the stream there, Paragon. Meanwhile, LNG Killer says, good evening, Swish, well, good evening to you too. And of course, you don't have to get messages on the chat box, you can also get them via Xbox Live. You can send them to me, Game Attack Swishbone, or of course to Dan on Game Attack XRL Bernie. Meanwhile, Swish, a message from Paragon says, Swish, last year's was highly controversial where it's almost the whole grid getting penalties for cutting and extending, especially turn 4. Always I've been informed by myself for us to go, these curbs can be nasty. Yes, they can, but at the same time, if everyone's getting penalties cutting and extending, well, maybe we need to start looking at more serious penalties. If drivers aren't paying heed, and the points aren't doing enough, and the actual demotions in the race aren't doing enough, maybe it's something to look towards the end of the season where we might see some race bans come in. Meanwhile, WF1 Raikkonen getting on the message, saying, how many stops do we reckon tonight? To be honest, with this track, I'll be surprised if there's any less than 4, because tyre wear is terrible here.
Yeah,
and you just concurred with me there as well.
I would think it's a 4 stop. I haven't actually done a full race distance. I will be racing my first full race distance of the week tomorrow night for the GP2 race, which Connor Rice will be streaming. But I would have thought, yeah, 4 stops. I spoke to Fozzie earlier, said at least 4. The tyres just fall off. 70 laps is a lot of laps to do, and yeah, it's at least 4. So tyres.
It's a strange one because the thing is, in real life, this track is low speed and low grip. So when it's low speed and low grip, you're not taking a lot of load in the tyres. Like, a track like Korea, a track like here, you're not putting that much load through the tyres. So realistically, the softer tyres should be able to last for a long period of time. However, on this game, for whatever reason, it's really high tyre wear despite being low grip. So it kind of like goes contrary to what you'd expect from real life tyre wear. But needless to say, it is what it is, and the drivers have really got to learn to cope with it.
So let's have a look at the top. Let's just have a look at the grid quickly and run through our predictions. And no TRL button. I spoke to him this morning. He did 16.9 in qualifying on the primes. I knew he'd be strong, and he hasn't been here, which is a big shame. But it gives someone else a chance to win the race. And you look at the guys and you think, Fearless, what a lap time from him, a 16.7. But just behind him, Velexity, a 16.9, actually creeped ahead of Bobbitt in qualifying in the end, with GP2 driver Tykic Taco in 4th. The new driver Ciari, who's done 17.2 as well, just ahead of the Williams driver of Nutters. Jambo making 7th with LGS 8th, and our first prime runner, Andy, on the...
We'll be going to track
doing
shortly, be aware.
17.6. So tight, 9 tenths between a lot of them. Who do you think is going to win, Switch?
Well, to be honest, it's going to be tricky to call with strategy here. It depends on the first corner, really. I wouldn't rule out someone like Taco being able to avoid the first corner for Rocco, but also Andy, on the contrary tyres, if he stays at the back, he might be able to get through. But the only way we're going to know is by getting out there to the racetrack and seeing what happens. 70 laps. Brings us to round 10. GT Omega Racing, GamePod.co.uk, and myself and Dan Fisk bringing you coverage of this live and uninterrupted exclusively on Twitch.tv. And once those 5 lights go out, we're going to be seeing the likes of XRL Fields, Lexus Psyche Taco, Lexus Velocity. Who's going to take the checkered flag at the end? It's lights out, and away they go. Down the first corner, XRL Fields gets a decent line, and behind him, so does Velocity. Third place, one of the Ferraris, really attacking on the outside, trying to go around the outside to turn 1 as XRL Fields leads him on Wheeler Williams on the inside, gets glanced from Psychic Taco, but goes through the 4th place. Taco loses out big time. He's down to 6th place already here. We've got XRL Velocity in 2nd place. Then the Ferrari, we've got XRL Bowers, who's retained his position. Williams, meanwhile, already in 4th place, is Nutters 91. Great start from him. Then in P5,
look
in the
at
Toro
Bobbitt's for the
Rosso.
lead. Bobbitt's and Velexi and Fearless nearly 3 abreast going into turn 4. Bobbitt has to back out.
Jambo gets a tap on the back of the Williams, and as a result that Bobbitt goes wide. Taco nearly hits him, and Ciaru and the McLaren almost collects him as well. Jambo, meanwhile, the inside of the tight chicane passes to P3, backs out of it. As meanwhile, Nutters 91 gets a good look at the back of Velocity, but it's always been a bit of action there. One of the Ferraris has been really geriatric, also LGS, I believe. Connection be really well. Ciaru tries to roll the outside, misses the track. He's got to be able to refill that position back, or else it will be a penalty.
He didn't make the move anyway. Oh, his Bob time's incredibly wide. Who is that driver right at the back?
Psychic Taco, meanwhile, down in 7th place now. Really very much the big loser here from the first lap, from 4th down to 7th. Looking at the back of the McLaren to Ciaru. Oh, he almost gets tapped there by Ice Cold Andy, and he's on the prime tyres. And meanwhile, look at his excellent Bobbitt to Ciaru, side by side to the final corner. Ciaru and the McLaren tries to go NASCAR style around the outside, into the DRS zone. No DRS yet, of course, but it's got the slipstream down towards turn 1. Heavy braking zone, but for the lead. We've also got another scrap going on. I believe that's going to be It's going to be expert, yeah, but Bobbitt has actually got in front. Nutters 91 in 3rd place, then in 2nd place, XRL Fearless has been passed by Velocity. Velocity's in 1st, but Fearless fancies a chance into turn 2. Velocity goes a little wide, it's going to make it compromise turn 3, but Fearless has just been able to retain the lead for now. Fearless is 2nd place, Velocity in 1st.
What action at the start, and these guys, I didn't see what happened to the driver at the back.
Velocity goes off the track at turn 4. It goes very, very wide there, and as a result of that, Fearless gets a little bit of a run, but at the same time, Velocity gets the better run into the chicane. And again, he's taking too much curve there from Fearless. That nearly spots him out, and Nutters 91, who's running really solidly in 3rd. But behind them, there's a huge cluster of cars going back to 5th place.
It's crazy. I'm watching with Ciaru at the moment, who is down in 6th place, following basically Bobbitt's around the track. He's got Taco behind him, who's keeping very close company.
But you got Jambo who's now been back to this as well in 4th place.
Did very, very well last week,
I have
Jambo.
received a few messages. I can't get to them yet. I've got too much to cover. When I get a break in the action, I'll try and get the messages read out. With Ciaru now in the McLaren, looking at the back of Bobbitt's in the Ferrari, but he's trying to chase down Jambo as well. And meanwhile, up ahead, I think that the velocity may have actually got a little bit of a gap here. And as a result of this, Nutters 91 is now all over the back of XRL Fearless.
Now we've got the Mercedes of Taco trying to overtake the newcomer Ciaru, but Ciaru...
Oh, Jambo's gone wide in turn 1, and that's got Bobbitt's through. Bobbitt's has taken him on the inside to take 4th place. Jambo down to 5th.
Crikey, this is high intensity stuff. It's been absolutely fantastic start. I don't know what happened with the guy at the back, but crikey, 13 drivers going all out attack at the start of this race.
Well, the meantime, Sakit Taco is a big loser now in 7th place.
Yeah.
That's to fallen away a little bit and gone very, very wide in turn 4. That's all Ice Cold Andy to have an attack around the outside towards the chicane. But Ice Cold Andy's just not got the traction yet. But those prime tyres will start to come into the window. Curiously, looking in the back of Andy's tyres, I'm seeing lines on them. This is lap 3 and they're the primes. I think Ice Cold Andy's got a really serious tyre wear problem because he's already got lines on his tyres from what I can see. And ahead of him, Taco once again going off the track. He's going to be so careful. You can't keep going off the circuit or you are going to find yourself facing the hammer of the stewards by the end of the race. Meanwhile, Ciaru tries to get close to the back of Jambo, who's got very, very squiggly, coming out of turn 14 and into the final corner. That's compromised his entry, but Ciaru goes a little too wide. Oh, Zaki Taco nearly spins the car. Gets terrible traction there, but just about keeps it under control.
Jambo having a look at Bobbitt's now, because doesn't get quite close enough into turn 1 with Ciaru.
Oh, well, Ciaru hit the back of him as he was going through the corner. Ciaru backed off. DRS now available for Jambo, heading down towards the back, but up ahead, meanwhile, all of a sudden, we've got all over the back of XRL Fearless is Nutters 91. We've got the 3 cars up close at the battle as well. This is ridiculous.
I don't know who to follow. I want you to watch this midfield pack, but really we should be watching the battle for the leaders just so much. I have to say, I don't think Andy is necessarily in that bad a position. He's on the primes, the others
Like
are
it, Taco has got it. Oh, what was that? Ice Cold Andy nearly did a Schumacher and Barrichello into the pit wall. Psychic Taco down at the inside of Ciaru, but Ciaru drives around the outside. That Mercedes driver gets ahead, but it has to be said that Sean Bean in the Mercedes was put under considerable pressure there, as Ice Cold Andy really didn't give him any room from what I could see.
Jambo's run wide, now Ciaru's looking round the outside into turn 2. Turn 3, sorry, doesn't quite make it, but oh, he's just behind. I thought he was going to be side by side for turn 4.
Oh, meanwhile, but Sean Bean's taking, oh, what move by Ciaru there? Sticks within the track lines as Jambo goes off and takes 5th, 6th place. Beautiful driving from the Davidson.
He's really showing that he has got the game to match these F1 drivers who have been in this league for some time. He's bang on the paces. Oh, Taco nearly losing the back end. He's now under pressure by his teammate, who is Sean Bean. He's having a good race on his first race comeback for quite some time. We haven't seen Sean, so it's good to see him doing well, and he's in P8.
Interesting comment from Stuart Bean on my Xbox Live messages. He reckons that LGS is actually going to try and do a 5-stop with 3 option stints. That's very interesting. The question of whether that works, because again, short pit lane, short lap. If you get caught on the wrong tyre strategy at the wrong time, that could easily bite you in the rear. Meanwhile, Xiaomi 22 getting a look at the back of Psychic Taco, his teammate. DRS lap over Taco is the big loser. He's down in 7th place, having qualified in 4th. and he's all over the back, meanwhile, of Jambo in the Toro Rosso. Jambo gets a bit too deep into turn 1, and as a result of that, great chance for Taco down towards turn 2, but Sean Bean pulls out of the slipstream of Taco to try and get slipstream on Jambo. Neither's rather close enough to make a move in the end, but then Jambo goes wide at turn 2, and that's going to give Taco the chance to drive around the outside of 3. No, he's just not close enough.
Jambo's starting to struggle on those tyres, and both Mercs are now looking quite good. But the only problem is these Mercs, they're both going to have to pit at some point, aren't they? Are they going to double stack?
Indeed, and again, both drivers breaking the white line at turn 4. That's one of the corners that all stewards in all divisions will have to look out for, because it's an easy place for drivers to gain a few tenths quite simply by keeping your throttle in it. And in the meantime, now Taco's got a little bit of a gap on Sean Bean, who's trying to catch up to Jambo and go ahead of him, but Taco's struggling through this higher downforce sector 2, where you've got to ride the curves and have fast changes of direction, and Sean Bean is getting ever a little bit close to his teammate, and meanwhile, he's dragging Ice Cold Andy behind for the ride.
Well, I'll be starting my track extending reviews from the end of the first stint, so probably at about lap 10, 12 time, because I would start it about now, but everyone's on the cusp of their tyres going off, so we'll start when the tyres are fresh, and see how bad they all are, but they're not being too bad at the moment.
We're in this situation now where we've got what I call a DRS train, where DRS is negating everyone's DRS. And we've got about 5 cars, all well within 2 or 3 seconds of each other, and no one's gapping each other due to the fact that one's got DRS, the other one's got DRS, and it just goes on and on. Ciaro trying to attack XRL Bobbers, but up ahead, we've got a battle for second place, because this set in 3rd place now, Nuss is 91, it's all over the back of XRL Fearless. XRL Fearless is really under pressure here, and Velocity's now got quite a gap. Maybe 4 or 5 seconds there, the Lotus drivers really pulled it out.
But Lex, he said, oh, I'm not practicing much anymore because of his bad performance at Silverstone, but something tells me he might have just had a few sessions this week, because he is in really good control of this race now. He's got a good
he was very competitive at the Nürburgring, and I think that might be one of the little situations that enables it to move on. Meanwhile, bit of an interesting question from Paragon here, saying, what's the latest in the Japanese beer community? That's a bit of a random question for motor racing, but to be honest, as far as I'm aware, the latest thing in the beer community is that the American bourbon manufacturer Jim Beam were actually bought by Suntory, who make Japanese malt whiskey.
And who asked that question?
Paragon 125.
All right.
Fair enough.
Fair, yeah.
Right. Taco with DRS trying to attack Jambo, who's in the Toro Rosso down towards turn 1, but Jambo goes very wide at turn 1, and as a result Taco gets slightly ahead, but then Jambo gets the straighter line out of the corner, and with the DRS is able to recover. Now that for me is the dark side of DRS. It's like, you make a mistake, but then you get this extra 10 miles per hour speed boost to recover for it, and you don't really get punished.
No, that's right, he's got away with that because he made a big error out at the exit of turn 1 as he runs wide there. Taco doesn't, and Taco starts to clear.
Oh! Taco's hit the back of him! Jambo came back on the track, not quite dangerously, but he caught Taco out there side by side. They're still managed to give each other room, and Jambo just about hangs on.
I think if Taco took that place, I'd have noted that down as an incident to look at, because it would have been taken.
Taco goes wide, and Sean Bean mugs him through sector 2. He just drives clean past him. Taco will be furious at that. And meanwhile, Ice Cold Andy is now catching very quickly behind as well. These guys are quickly moving forward.
Well, the tyres are running out now. I think about lap 9, 10, they start to pit their first stop.
And it'll be interesting. Yeah, we've already got Velocity in, and we've also got Nutters 91
Jambo,
in. Meanwhile, Taco's in.
Crikey, so everyone is pitting now. 8-9 is around.
Ice Cold Andy on the prime tyres now could be the one who's really in the great position here, because he's going to clear all this traffic, and he's got a long way in his stint to go. Sean B, meanwhile, he's up ahead in P4 in the Mercedes, trying to keep things going. It'll be tricky to see how things move here. P5 is Mr. Indigo, and meanwhile in P6, we've got Velocity on the prime tyres. So he comes out relatively clean air as he's going to get in this race, and he's got the guys ahead of him who've got to stop. Ice Cold Andy's the only one who's not going to stop anytime soon, so that's going to give Velocity a chance here. Meanwhile, moving further back, in P7 is ex-Lewis Hamilton on the prime tyres. Not seen much of him this race.
No,
and then Taps, he's also on the prime in P8. Meanwhile, Fearless is way behind Velocity. He's down in P9.
The gap gap isn't that big. It's about 4 or 5 seconds, but there's just a couple of drivers in his way.
I'm not so sure about that. That gap looks like it's increased to me, because you've already got Velocity who's just gone through the middle of this Suzuka section, and Fearless has only just started it. That has increased. I'd say at least 2 seconds have been gained by Velocity there.
I'll tell you what, Nutters is going to be dropped by Velocity, and maybe even Fearless as well, as he stays out. I believe he's now in the pits. He is our race leader, Nutters, who was P3 running. He's now in the pit. I believe second is also in the pit.
Sean B's gone in too.
Sean. So everyone's pitting. They're all pitting a lap later. It does help with the tyre wear because it's a big track.
Indigo stayed out, interestingly, on the option tyres. He stayed out till lap 10. And he's now under pressure from the sister Lotus of Velocity, who's got DRS, and Fancy's driving clean on the inside of him, gets on the brakes nice and late. Velocity's saved quite a lot of his curves here, and he'll have DRS to attack, and at the same time Indigo does not have it to defend, so that move is done. And now Velocity is chasing down Ice Cold Andy for the lead. Andy might be in first place for now, but that's quickly going to fall away from him, and Andy's going to feel furious here, because theoretically, Velocity's now got pretty much a pit stop on him.
Yeah, that's right. It is unbelievable when you just look at how the league has come through from last season. Andy dominating the race, won by nearly lapping everyone. This season, well, he's not doing bad in this race, but it just shows there are a few people that are better than him this season around here.
Velocity's really close up to Andy. Those old prime tyres have really let him down here through the high-speed changes of direction in the Suzuka section into the start, sector 3. Velocity's so much more confident on the fresh rubber. He's got the slipstream here. Andy defends from the middle of the track, XRL LGS style. Goes into turn 13. Both drivers keeping it nice and clean now, but you can see that Velocity's much quicker on the gas. Tries to know the inside of 14. Andy nearly goes off the track. There's a mistake there. Andy's going to have to stay out, surely. He can't pit now. Oh, Andy chops across him a little bit there, and as a result, Velocity stuck right to his diffuser. Behind them, meanwhile, Indigo goes into the pits. DRS active, Andy's going across. He's got to leave a car's distance, and Velocity's going to easily have him here. And, well, that's going to be soul-destroying for Ice Cold Andy, having dominated last season. He tries to fight back, though. Tries to use the braking, but Velocity won't have any of that.
And he's being a little bit aggressive on his driving this season. I don't know what it is. He just sort of...
When the pace falls away, you start to make mistakes. And interestingly, Nullers 91, his passed and ahead of Fearless, who's gone straight on at turn 3, made a disastrous mistake and lost at least 2 seconds on him. Nullers 91 has jumped Fearless in the pits.
Right.
Well, XRL Bobbits is down in 8th place. I mean, running so strong. Taco, he almost goes into Budapest there. Went nowhere near turn 4. Went completely off the circuit by a mile. Meanwhile, Paragon asking, that's a huge contract for the Japanese malt whiskey. Have we got any numbers? I've no idea. Go and search it online. If you go and search for it, it's all those places. He also says, what's my thoughts on Mario Andretti's winning the 78 Grand Prix in Spanish in Madrid? It was like any other great victory. It was awesome. But not really relevant to the race at the moment, to be honest. Saved those on Thursday nights. Meanwhile, moving further forward, we've got Ciara, who's stayed in 6th place. Done quite a good job for McLaren here. XRL Fearless in 5th, and now Nutters 91 is all over the back of Jambo once again, and he's going to have the DRS easily down towards turn 1. Jambo's under considerable pressure here as the Williams driver pulls out the slipstream. Nutters 91 showing a bit more pace than his teammate, but Jambo's got the straight line speed. Can he get the car stops into the corner? Nutters 91 taking the tighter line. Jambo trying the more karting line, but doesn't get the grip, and unfortunately he loses out. Nutters 91 now running in P3. Behind them in 4th place, though, XRL Fearless is looking at the back of that, realising he's lost more ground. Definitely not what he wanted to hear. Meanwhile, WF1 Raikkonen is asking where is LGS and Bobbits. I've no idea where LGS is, but Bobbits is currently running in P8. As XRL Fearless has just gone past Jambo, and I get the feeling he may have gone off the track at turn 4. I was reading a message, but it looked to me like a very big change of direction there, which isn't consistent with the corner.
Right, if you guys want to watch the race proper, you're going to have to tune into Channel 2 now. I've got to do my corner or track extending checks for 3 laps on each driver. So if you want to watch me, that's fine. But I'm going to be watching the next 3 laps on our race leader, Velexity. So that might be a little bit boring, but as I get through the pack, it might get a little bit more exciting.
Ciara and the McLaren attacking the back of Jambo, who's really struggling on those fresh tyres. Into turn 14, Ciara and the McLaren really attacking the back of that diffuser, really giving himself a great chance here. He's going to use up the DRS, and Jambo really seems to struggle with sector 3 with the high downforce hairpin corners where you need a lot of traction. DRS flat open from the McLaren driver. Jambo gets aggressive on his turn out there. Ciaru pulls as close to the pit wall as he can, almost uses the pit lane, gets on the brakes. Can he get that McLaren stopped into turn 1? He's got to make sure he stays on the track. That was marginal, literally millimetres from the white line. But I think Ciaru just about got away with it. Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, he's now in P6, still running his first stint tyres. Reverse strategy hasn't worked for him. XRL Bottas, meanwhile, is in 7th place, all over the back of the sister Toro Rosso, and he's also got the Mercedes of Taiki Tarko bearing down on him, who once again very nearly gets the car off turn 4 but gets away with it. As XRL Bottas goes off the track on the inside of turn 5. Not sure if that's because Hamilton gave him no room or it's poor traction from the Ferrari, as Tarko nearly gives him a pump through the chicane. These guys getting a bit too close for comfort here. Into the start of the Suzuka section, Sakataka taking a look on the inside, and as a result of that, Bottas goes a little too wide in the Ferrari, but coming up to the start of sector 3, track's just too narrow. Sakataka's out to hang on for now as Bottas goes off the track. Tarko gets into the slipstream, Bottas cuts back across him. Into turn 13, Bottas goes right over the white lines, gets that completely wrong, and he's now attacking the back of Hamilton in the Toro Rosso. Oh, nearly spins the car, gets poor traction, but then Lewis Hamilton goes too wide at turn 14, and as a result, him and Bottas are side by side to the final corner, there's contact, and as a result, Sakataka dives past XRL Bottas, and he's got the DRS on the back of the Toro Rosso driver. Flap open, Sakataka making the move to 6th place. Meanwhile, behind him, XRL Bottas splits the pair of them. Is he going to fancy a chance into turn 1 to pair of them? This could be fantastic driving. Gets on the brakes, goes a little wide, but XRL Bottas has got the traction on the outside. Tarko dives back underneath him. DRS active. Both drivers diving towards turn 2. XRL Bottas fancies a lunge into the second corner. Sakataka goes a little too wide. In towards turn 3. This is where we'll get the filtering, and he just about gets away with that as Jambo also dives past his teammate in turn 3. Absolutely incredible driving.
Who's the guy in the pits? He's miles down.
Jambo goes around the outside turn 4, and all of a sudden Sean Bean is now attacking as well. In the system, Mercedes battle all the way down at the back of the points here, T9, but Sean Bean's just not close enough to attack at the moment.
I wish I didn't have to do my checks. This looks an amazing battle for the mid-places.
XRL Bottas trying to attack the back of Sakataka and the Mercedes, but has fallen a little too far away through sector 2. Meanwhile, heading further forward, we've got Ciaru all over the back of, I believe that's Ice Cold Andy. It might be Nutters 91 in the Williams. It is indeed Ice Cold Andy, whose tyres are reaching the end of the line. Ciaru in the McLaren. Ice Cold Andy indeed has not pitted, and he's staying out for now, but Ciaru's going to have the DRS here. He's used all his curves though, so he can't launch out of the final corner, but I don't think he cares. He's got brilliant low-speed traction. The Ferrari McLaren driver gets in the slipstream, dives on the inside. He's almost going to go off the track here. These two are going to be so close to turn 1. Ciaru gets on the brakes. Can he get the car stopped without going too wide? Hits the outside curve. Where's Ice Cold Andy? Right next to him. These guys are going to be side by side towards turn 2. Ice Cold Andy's going on the outside. Ciaru's on the inside. Can he get the car stopped? Ciaru can. Ice Cold Andy tries to get traction on the outside karting line, but he's just not able to make that move stick. XRL Bottas, meanwhile, in 6th place, looking at the back of Sakataka behind him. And XRL Bottas, the big loser at the start, along with Sakataka. Both guys occupying near the front row of the grid, right down in the mid-pack at the moment. The McLaren and the Mercedes driver attacking into the middle chicane through sector 2. And there's a lot of dust up ahead as well. The driver goes a bit too wide and kicks up on dirt on the track. Sakataka went a bit too wide through the Suzuka section, and that's going to allow the sister Toro Rosso of Jambo to get back on them. Jambo's really fallen down the field like a stone in the ocean at the moment. He was running P3 at one point. He's now in P8. Meanwhile, Paragon, when it comes to going to Japan, lots of things I recommend. You best stop giving me an email somewhere and I'll give you a lot of things you can do. If you're planning on going out there and you're going to Tokyo, there's so much to see and do. I especially recommend going to Odaiba where they've got the huge Gundam statue. Sakataka, meanwhile, trying to get into the DRS section for XRL Bottas, but he's just too far behind. As Ice Cold Andy finally dives into the pits for the 9th place. Sean Bean 22's got the DRS on the back of Jambo, heading now towards turn 1, but again, that DRS train's happened, where all the drivers are having the advantages negated by being so close to the other guys ahead of them. And the train once more waltzes through section DRS and towards turn 2. And ex-Jambo getting a poor exit speed from turn 2. That's a Sean Bean's all over the back of him. Heading towards turn 3. Paragon, the huge Gundam statue. Basically, it's a huge anime mech robot. As Sean Bean goes totally off the track at turn 4. Gets nowhere near it. Another thing I recommend you do, Barry Paragon, if you get the chance, is go to the Government Metropolitan Building. You can actually go up to the 45th floor for free and have one of the best skyline views of all time. You can go there as late as 10 o'clock at night. It's absolutely breathtaking. Andy Clive on my screen thinks that Jambo is using 1-1 wings or something like that due to his poor traction. Well, yeah, I mean, many people still have the belief that downforce doesn't seem to really work on this game. You get a little more from it, but you don't get as much. And unlike on the last game, where it never worked at all, it's been slightly retweaked. But you can definitely tell that he's really struggling to get that car turned in. As Sean B22 has got the DRS flap open, heading on towards turn 1, gets on the brakes, Sean B, goes up the inside, Jambo goes a little too wide, and Sean B's got to give him the room, he just about does so. Jambo lives to fight another day once again.
Well, this is one of the rare tracks where you want 11-11 wings, or in that vicinity. It doesn't have to be 11-11. But for any of you watching, you do want one of your wings on being 11, and the other may be slightly lower, but, you know, you can't go around...
Can you remind people how many races you've won this season?
Look, alright, I'm just saying what TRL Button said to me, alright?
Oh, the TRL, trying to save face. First, it's all my idea, and as soon as I mentioned your race picture, you bring TRL Button into it. What a surprise.
Look, to be fair, my starting wings were 11-11, and then Button said try 11-6, and it's improved my time by about a couple of tenths. And he gave me a couple of other tips, which are not to do with setup, just to do with taking the corners.
Andy Clark retires by saying it should be a 9-9. Meanwhile, one thing I will say...
High wings.
Paragon, one thing I will say is that you're asking about the Yakuza. They don't really get involved with foreign people in Japan, but if you are, one thing I will recommend, at night, do not go to an area called Roppongi, whatever you do. It's run by a lot of Nigerian gangsters and they will rip you off. So that's a top tip for anyone planning to go to Asia. Sage Taco in 6th place, attacked once again by Jambo. I can't believe we're talking about F1 and Japan at the same time, it's just crazy. Going into turn 2, as Jambo gets poor traction into the start of the corner there, and as a result of that, Sage Taco started to pull away from him.
Not as lucky he didn't get a little tick bias mark for that one. The great thing, Sean's retired.
Sean B's retired.
Why?
As ice cold Andy, he's now finding himself behind XRL LGS. And LGS on the prime tyres at the 9th place is holding up ice cold Andy. These two going at it hammer and tongs. We've seen these two race hard before. LGS goes a little too wide at turn 4, breaks the white line. Andy Coybe is asking what is he hearing is fucking random. Well, the fact of the matter is I'm being asked a question by someone on the stream and I'm answering it. There's nothing random about that.
I don't understand. Why was Sean retiring? He seems to be on the pace of everyone else.
We'll have to get him in and find out. Maybe you should do that, considering I've got a lot of people watching the high-speed action here on my stream at the moment. As Psychic Taco is trying to attack the back of XRL Bobbits, but Taco, another one who's got lines on his tyres already. These guys are really struggling with tyre wear, and we did hear that one of the drivers might even be trying to do a 5-stop strategy. And who knows, that might well be the strategy to be on at the end of the race.
I'm working my way through the pack now. I'm nearly at the actual main battling. So, just a couple more to get to, and then I'm there.
Paragon, I don't need to answer that question. Travelling for dummies will give you that one. Sean, you seem to be on the pace. You seem to be battling with your teammate in the mid-pack. What happened? Why did you retire?
I have got a bit of a cramp in my right foot right at the moment. And it's not going away, so I...
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jean-Denis Delatraz.
So...
Why is Riotous Tag join the race?
I think he wants to be a independent track extending steward. I think the point of it was that as soon as someone retired, if there was any, that he would come in and do it.
Always wants to be the centre of attention, doesn't he, Chris?
Oh, I know. But that was a good race. That was a good race, Sean. You seem to be right in the middle of the action, so your pace wasn't all not there.
No, I was getting stuck behind everyone, and I couldn't get past, which was really frustrating. But what can I say?
Not get cramp.
Indeed. In the meantime, Jambo goes very wide at the final corner, and as a result, Enema Mr. Indigo is now getting onto the DRS flap down towards turn 1. Really getting high-speed pull out of here. Great opportunity to attack. Pulls out of the slipstream, Gets on the inside. Is he going to be able to get the car stopped on the minor team? Yes, he is. And as a result, he should have the DRS to break away. Jambo's not got DRS on him. So all points should be to NMR Mr. Indigo here into turn 2. Indeed, that position sticks for 7th place.
I'll leave you two to it.
No.
Okay.
Paragon, if you're planning on buying anything like, you know, samurai swords or anything, you have to send them via special courier. And even then, they'll probably get refused at UK border. I would not recommend buying anything like that. Meanwhile, Notice 91 running in strong P2 actually, and Velocity is now in P1, quite far ahead of him. But Notice 91 has got quite a big gap to XRL Fearless. And
Yeah,
XRL Fearless is
is
actually
not-
under real pressure here, because
He's not
Ciara's
doing well
chasing
today.
him down.
His pace in qualifying is good, but his race pace is not necessarily the best, Fearless. That's been found
It's
out
one of
again.
those there. Some people always have the one-lap pace. Jarno Trulli, of course, was probably the most famous from F1. He used to be regularly qualifying near the front and then really struggling in the race, whereas you often got someone like Mark Webber who could do both. So it was a real disappointment so far from XRL Fearless. NMR Mr. Indigo still being attacked a little bit by Jambo, but it's broke a little bit of a gap away. So we're into that period where we are seeing a little bit of a break in the action. Probably just about needed so I can get a bit of an imbibe of a pint. But needless to say, the guys have really put on a bit of a clinic here in terms of hard, aggressive driving. I'm seeing a few clouds forming around the circuit, but it did say 0% chance of rain. Having said that, in last week's F4000 stream, it said 0% chance of rain in qualifying, and it was soaking wet. Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, I have to say, I've only done 3 driver checks at the moment, but on the whole, it doesn't look like anyone's going to get penalties, but Kirsten commentator nearly just struck there. I just had to make another note. But it didn't seem too bad.
In the meantime, I just received a message from BHA Cap and Waiter. It's the first time I've got a chance to look at this. Right on the ball, it's Taco Hamilton free about awesome driving, and he used 10.8 on his worst track on the game. And also, could we put the F4 stream for Germany on the YouTube channel? That's not one for me to deal with. That's up for the technical
I got a
guys.
message about that. I asked F1 Speed to put it up, so it's not there. It may be processing at this moment in time. I'm not sure. Right, I've done my
In the meantime now, Psychic Taco has actually got NMR Mr. Indigo very close to the back of his diffuser. The Mercedes drivers really struggled in the race. He's another driver who showed a lot of pace in qualifying, but has really fallen off. I expected much better from Taco. Yeah, he's a GP2 driver, so he's ultimately the division below this, but his pace was really solid in qualifying. He makes a big mistake at turn 1, goes too wide, DRS now over from Indigo. Indigo's on the outside, can he get this move stopped? Gets on the brakes as Taco forced him too wide onto the marbles. He might have just get away with this, but Indigo's got the title lines of 3, side by side. Oh, they made contact! But Taco pulls out to the left and Indigo gets through. Indigo was ahead into the corner, so you would say that Taco was the one who had to make sure he got out of the way there. Meanwhile, Taco trying to get on the inside at turn 5, doesn't make it very easy, gets no real traction there, and as a result of that, Taco's not able to attack at this time. Right, Paragon, I'm sorry, but if you're going to keep asking me questions about that, I'm afraid I can't keep answering on the stream, because it's going to confuse too many people. Please send me a private message. No.
Oh, you're lucky there.
Who?
Just the track extending checks.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Sorry.
In the meantime now. Yeah, Psychic Taco once again not being able to break away from the back of the drivers behind him. He's got ex-Jambo, and despite that, he's actually been caught by the Torosso driver, which surprises me, because Taco really seems to have much more pace. But we have seen drivers dropping off quite considerably in the race scenario. Taco's definitely falling into that camp, along with XRL Fearless. Both drivers have been quite disappointing so far in this race.
Ciara looks like he's going to be able to maybe get a podium today on his debut, which would be a great return for the McLaren team.
It would be, but he has dropped away a little bit from XRL Fearless. That gap was slightly smaller than that. Interestingly, up ahead, I think Nutters 91 might have actually started to close the gap between himself and also Velocity.
That does look less, doesn't it?
Maybe Velocity's saving his fuel, maybe he's trying to save his tyres, but Nutters 91, bit of a surprise, not really the kind of driver you would expect to be battling near the sharp end here at Hungary.
Hard hard to say, really. He's definitely got the pace. He just hasn't been able to show it this season. But it's good that he's able to show. He's showing it right now, and yeah, he's doing a good job.
Well, Sierra's got to actually be careful here, because he's actually got XRL Bobbers chasing him quite quickly. And to answer your question, Paragon, I've never tried whale. They actually don't serve it very often anymore. Ever since a lot of Australians started bombing the ships.
Ciaru's in.
Yes, Psychic Taco's in as well. Psychic Taco for 7th place has gone in, so that's quite an early stop there, because I'm sure he went in around lap 9. Lap 23 for a set of primes. Seems the change to that is pretty low. Ice Cold Enemy with DRS open on the back of X-Jam. Is that X-Jam or X-Lewis Hamilton? The X-Lewis Hamilton, I think that might be. That's from the Toro Rosso. And as we Ice Cold Andy does something else. No, it was indeed Jambo. And Jambo, despite having a DRS, has had some watch as Ice Cold Andy's drove clean past him. So good driving from Andy to start hauling himself back up into the points. Moving further up the field, in P5 at the moment, we have NMR Mr. Indigo on the Red Bull, trying to get very, very close to the back of XRL Bobberts. Clabs jumps in on the debate about the questions I've been answering, saying this is an F1 league and puts a link to an external site. Good on you. Meanwhile, in the meantime, in P12, iTops and the Lotus is well down the pace, absolutely nowhere near the points. LGS running in P11, he'll be disappointed to be outside the points at the moment. Really expected better from him. And X-Lewis Hamilton, he's only in 10th place. And despite being on the reverse strategy, but I still don't know if he's pitted. I think he might have pitted recently, but his tyres don't look that worn, and we are on lap 24. Psychic Taco's got potential advantage here, though. He's in clean air at the moment. He's in P9, but he is, as I say, in clean air, so he's not going to have the dirty air damaging his tyres. And meanwhile, up ahead is Ciara in P8. We've got X-Jambo now into the box, so Ciara's definitely going to pass him.
Velexity, the leader, has stopped. He's come out right in between Bobbert and Indigo for P4.
There'll be an interesting duel in between these guys. Ice Cold Andy looking at the back of NMR Mr. Indigo, and you're quite correct. It's the Velocity now right behind XRL Bobbert in the Ferrari. Goes through turn 3 in towards turn 4. Not really an overtaking spot, this. Tries to get into the corner. Oh, both drivers keep it on the inside white lines. Good driving there. Into turn 5. XRL Bobbert gets slightly phasey entry there. Really doesn't start to wash out on him. And as a result, Velocity on the fresher tyres is definitely getting closer. Mr. Steve-O, meanwhile, jumps in and says 1-0 Clabs. Going through the Suzuka section, Velocity getting a decent drive, but Bobbert actually managed to recover a bit of ground there. Oh, he gets very, very close at turn 12, gets on the curve, nearly throws the car wide into turn 13. Oh, Velocity goes all 4 wheels over the inside there. And meanwhile, into turn 14, Velocity got a chance to attack here, and he gets that move done. Sensational driving.
Good move there from to dive down the inside from Velexity there.
Yeah, meanwhile, Velocity now is in P3, but at the same time, I believe that, Bobbert is now out to P2, as the 2 provisional leaders have boxed as well. So great opportunity here. NMR Mr. Indigo is now in P3, and he's got Ice Cold Andy all over the back of it. So Andy keeps on seesawing up the field, really seems to struggle, and then suddenly finds pace from nowhere. DRS lab over, oh, he gets a bit too close to the back there, backs out on the move though, make sure he doesn't damage Indigo's tyres or Indigo's car.
Sean Bean commented to say, oh sorry, after you.
Go on, you answer.
I was going to say, Sean Bean commented on the stream to say, bear with me, I've just got to see if this is... Yeah, right. Sean Bean just commented on my chat, say, did we get Sean Bean's overtake on the penultimate corner when he was in the race? I didn't, probably, because I've been doing track extending checks, but it might be on channel 2, because you were on that battle in the mid-pack swish, so...
I honestly can't remember. There's been that much action called at the moment.
I know.
It's tricky to call. In the meantime, we've just seen NMR Mr. Indigo go all 4 tyres on the inside of the Suzuka section. And as a result, Ice Cold Andy now has got a real chance here. As, big mistake. Almost gets a lot of snap oversteer there, NMR Mr. Indigo on the Red Bull. Heading into turn 13, and Ice Cold Andy seems to have so much more pace at the moment than that Williams. Heading into turn 14, trying to drive around the outside. Ice Cold Andy trying to get the extra traction on the karting line. Just not close enough. And meanwhile, up ahead, XRL Bobbert dives into the pits, and Ice Cold Andy at the final corner puts his wheel into the side pod, but gets away with it, and he's got DRS to pull away. But Indigo, meanwhile, is going to fight back. He's got the flap open, the curse deployed. Ice Cold Andy under pressure here as NMR Mr. Indigo in the prime tyres, heading towards turn 1. Ice Cold Andy, can he Just a bit too wide. No, he just gets on the line. And as a result, Indigo has to filter into third place.
The fact that Andy had DRS and used half of his KERS and he was not pulling away from Indigo suggests that Indigo may be running lower downforce in his setup.
Potentially, and of course, if you're running lower downforce, that does mean you slide around a bit more and you take more out of your tyres. So it'll be interesting to see what these two drivers got. Oh, Indigo, there you go, there's the proof. As Indigo gets flashed past by Nutters 91, having made a terrible mistake at turn 4, drifted too wide, and now Nutters 91 is attacking his teammate. Game on.
And he's got to let him through, because it's Velexity versus Nutters for the win. He's got to be kind. Will he oblige or not? I don't know.
Meantime, on my stream, Mr. Steve-O asking, what are expectations of F1 2014? Well, I'll answer in a moment. The nice code Andy does indeed let Nutters through, but he's got to be careful. He doesn't let Bobbers through. Not Bobbers, sorry, Indigo. He's got to make sure he doesn't let Indigo through. That
was the right thing to do, and he's still maintained enough of a gap to probably hold Indigo off. As Indigo runs very, very wide, loses traction, and in fact, made a pit, yeah.
Meantime, I'll answer the question now. Steve-O saying, what are our expectations of F1 2014 in terms of added features or things to improve? Well, I'll be honest, having played Grid Autosport and been annoyed at the fact that they've not even got proper cockpits for the cars, the fact you can't even use rear view mirrors on Grid Autosport, which is pathetic.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, if you're in cockpit view, your rear view mirrors they are blurred out, they don't exist. So the fact they can't even get that right, considering that was in Grid 1, that tells you they've got a few problems at the development division there, and I'll be honest, I've got absolutely no confidence in F1 2014.
Things I'd like to see, I mean, all of the, different things, all the different regulations, I'd like to see some more strategy involved. You obviously have the whole, you can go rich, lean, whatever, and you have so many
just went through the chicane in Sector 2, sorry to cut across you.
Oh, that's all right.
And now Ciaro is right near him all of a sudden. Nice called Andy in real trouble, and Ciaro in the McLaren is attacking the Williams for the podium position. Ice Cold Andy going wide at turn 12, gets a poor traction on the curb as a result. That seesaws all over the track like a drunk driver. Oh, Ciaro makes a suicide lunge, hits the back of Ice Cold Andy, gets him back through. Ciaro makes sure he gains no advantage, but he's got to be sure that he doesn't do that kind of move too many times. You won't want to get that kind of reputation in the league as Andy dives into the pits and makes it all a bit of a formality.
Yeah, I think Andy's tyres were just going. But as I was saying, for the new F1 game, I'd just like to see more strategy involved. Because this year you got 100 kilograms of fuel. Maybe they could do something so you could, you can actually see how much fuel you've got and you've got to manage it. Because it's a big thing this year, the whole fuel management. It should say, how, on average, how much fuel per lap you should use, and then you should work out yourself as to how much you can push and how much you can't, because it's too easy.
It's not only that, I mean, one of the key things, a part of that, is are they going to get the gameplay mechanics adjusted to actually reflect the way they drive? In this season's F1, we've seen them lifting and coasting for 100 metres before braking. Is the game going to be conducive to that, or is it going to be a simple case of match the brake and try and avoid locking up? That's the kind of thing, because we've seen how they got that wrong with 2013, with the sense that there was no real actual diversity in the strategy you could employ. And also, Steve-O meanwhile jumps in and says he misses the post-race interviews from 2014. Well, I missed that in the career mode as well, because you had it in 2011 as well, only it was David Croft doing it in the pit lane rather than using the actual driver conference. And of course, one thing they never had is an actual podium. F1 2006 had that on the PS2. Why have we not got it on this game?
That just seems such an obvious thing. I mean, I don't know, there are just some things which seem so obvious to get them in. I mean, I can't believe that they haven't thought of it. There must be some reason why they can't put them in, but, looking at Grid Autosport, there are positives in that game that they could bring into the F1 series, but there are so many negatives that they haven't brought from the F1. Things like, on this game, you can use your mirrors to see if people are on your inside.
That's called Andy Daz on the inside, meanwhile, of the Red Bull. I believe that was Enema Mr. Indigo. Indeed it was. Enema Mr. Indigo down in 9th place. Nice called Andy's got past him.
Who am I doing? Okay.
I Love Jigsaws has got involved on my stream. He sent me a message saying that grid is too slidey, and the fastest way to take a corner is to slide, and that's why he won't buy it. The latest grid game, I actually find that the brakes are far too mushy, and that the steering washes out too easily. Now, again, this is based on early part of the career. Maybe if you get more into it, it might get better. But The thing I don't like is you can't even make your own team on this one. On grid
No,
1, you
that
could
was the
actually
good thing
make
about
your
the
own
first
team,
grid, wasn't it?
hire drivers, sell your own sponsors,
Oh.
all that kind of thing. But like, they've not even included that, which is a real surprise.
That was the great thing about the first grid, and I don't like the fact that Le Mans isn't in there. At the end of every season, you had Le Mans to look forward to, and you did that, and there was a big thing about it, and they haven't got that there anymore. And the whole team management thing, like you said, there was something else I was going to mention as well. The whole Ravens racing. You'd have an end-of-thing race once you'd done all of the bits in each part of the career. You'd race against Ravenswest, whoever it is, and you'd actually be a really difficult race. And then in this one, it's just kind of like, you just
Indigo attacking against Jumbo, sorry to cut across you. Jumbo chops across at turn 1. Indigo holds the high ground. DRS flap open, and he's going to have the chance down towards turn 1, but Jumbo's fighting back at the Toro Rosso. Gets the inside line for turn 2, and then Mr. Indigo cannot get past. Great defensive driving there by ex-Jumbo to hang on to 8th. But it's only a matter of time before Indigo drives past him. He's on the outside of turn 4. Oh, they brushed tyres there. Indigo will feel a bit aggrieved, almost like he was pushed off the track by Jumbo there. And as a result of that, he stays in 9th place.
The cars seem quite spread out now. It was really close early on, and now it's not so close. It's a bit more spread out.
Don't know what you're talking about. XRL Bobbits is all over the back of Psychic Taco and the Mercedes. These two are very, very close on track for 5th and 6th place.
Yeah.
XRL Bobbits trying to get the tyre line into turn 13 to get a clean exit and settle that central run on DRS down towards turn 1. And Taco, meanwhile, still struggling with that Mercedes. Really finds a lot of rear wheel slip when he gets out of the traction zones. Definitely a car that's not quite suited to the higher demands here. Kerr's saved by XRL Bobbits. He deploys that. Flap goes wide open, and look at the speed difference here between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Bobbits pulls out the slipstream, gets ready to jam on the anchors, gets on the brakes very, very, very late. Can he get it stopped to turn 1? Oh, yes, he can. Beautiful driving.
Nice move there from Bobbits. I just finished watching Taco's traffic sending check, so I just caught the end of that one.
And the Master Indigo is now past Jumbo, having done him under DRS towards turn 1. So Indigo can start fighting back towards the front of the grid, potentially. Psychic Taco, meanwhile, lost out a little bit of ground already to XRL Bobbits. Bobbits in the Ferrari just seems to have so much more confidence going through the corners here. Turn 5, he just seems to be easier to get on the power. It's like watching the difference between Sebastian Vettel and between Mark Webber driving the same car at the Red Bull. You have Vettel always getting on the throttle right in the middle of the corner, and Webber doing the much more old-fashioned style and losing that crucial time. It's like watching that difference between Taco and Bobbits. Moving further forward, meanwhile, in P4, XRL Fearless has not lost too much ground on behalf of newcomer Ciaru in the McLaren. So Ciaru's running in P3 at the moment. He's third at the moment, but Fearless is not far behind him. Gap maybe 2 seconds between these two. Well, actually, it's interesting that Al Jigsaw says that Grid should be like a newer version of Toka Touring Car Driver. Well, Grid or All Sport Magazine got involved to try and do that. Oh, wait! Nutters 91's in the lead! Nutters 91 has taken the lead! Velocity is in second place!
Whoa. So he's lost, and P3 and 4 aren't too far behind now.
Where did Nutters get past Velocity, because he was not that close before, but Nutters is now ahead, and Velocity is staring at the back of the Williams. Unbelievably, Nutters is in the lead for the first time in a long time. Into turn 13, Velocity all-out attack here. He wants that victory. He wants to be on the top step of the podium, but Nutters 91... the surprise combatant, the person I would not have backed, has really brought his A-game here at the Hungaroring, but we're not even at half-race distance. There's a long, long way to go.
I know.
DRS flat wide open, Velocity closing speed getting into turn 1. Velocity takes, he's on too tight. All 4 tyres over the inside, junk on the tyres. He's got the DRS, but he didn't activate it straight away, and as a result, Nutters 91 hangs on. Meanwhile, in P3, we've got Ciaru, who's being chased by Fearless, but Fearless, he's in DRS range, but he wasn't using the DRS. Has Fearless got a DRS failure? Meanwhile, Mr. Steele's chiming in on the whole what's the future of F1 games, saying that he thinks the complex nature of the rules this year and how much it will cost to reprogram the game. I agree with you, because like the problem is they're going to have to make a whole new game engine for it. And I get the feeling, my greatest fear, is that they're going to make it next generation only. Now, if they do, I can see that being the end of the F1 franchise, because I don't think enough people have got the next-gen consoles to make it viable to only make it next-gen.
I agree, but the fact that we haven't heard any news yet would suggest I think it's going to be later released as well than all of their titles. It could be November.
Well, I get the feeling that they're still going to have the home track, because in Grid this year they have got the Red Bull Ring. Now, call me old-fashioned, but the only reason you'd have that is to get data on it before you put it in your own game. They had Istanbul in Grid Autosport in Grid 1, before they did the F1 division, the F1 license. So there's another example already of the newer tracks. Meanwhile, XRL Fearless gets the DRS on the back of CRU, but goes a bit too deep. Oh, CRU shots the back of him, and XRL Fearless has taken third place from CRU. Meanwhile, Nunners 91 is still in the lead from Velocity, but there's barely a paper car between them. These two are really, really close on track at the moment.
Right, let's get up to the front then. I'll get back to my checks.
Nunners 91 goes wide at turn 5. Velocity's got a chance on the track. He just didn't have the grip, though. Into the chicane of 6 and 7. Nunners 91 avoiding the sausage curves. Velocity doing the same. But the traction of the Williams seems so much more planted. He's able to get out of these slower speed corners easier. But then Velocity seems more confident through the high-speed sweepers. This is really a case of cat and mouse between these two. Nunners 91 goes wide, big time at turn 12, goes totally off the track. Velocity into turn 13, follows the Williams driver. Nunners 91 going to be under big pressure here, because Velocity is saved about a third of his curves bar. Going to be a great opportunity to attack out of this traction zone. Trying to shade the pit wall. Oh, Velocity getting as close as he dared there. Very nearly hit the wall, but he uses the curves, he uses the DRS, but the Williams driver, with the extra traction, able to break away. But Velocity's going to fancy a lunge here into turn 1. No, he's just too far behind. Wise driving. Got out of that while he could, but now he's got another half his curves bar. Can he attack into turn 2, or can Nunners 91 hang on? The Williams driver gets on the brakes. Oh, keeps just on the line. Nunners 91 really being driven ragged here by Velocity. These two are going at it old-fashioned. This is Hakkinen versus Schumacher all over again. Nunners 91 getting the better traction out of turn 5, but then makes a real hash of 6 and 7.
Oh!
Velocity's destroyed his vehicle! Have we got a safety car? Do we have a safety car on track? No yellow flags at the moment, but the drivers will be definitely
safety
very
car,
good.
safety
Indeed we
car.
have! It's a safety car! The Bobbers has brought out the safety car. Do not know what happened. We need to get him in here and find out what I assume what's happened is quite simple. He's taken the final corner too close and smashed his front wing, David Coulthard, at Adelaide in 1995 style. Nutters 91, will he dive into the box? No, he doesn't, but Velocity does. That could be a critical error from the Williams driver. He's not going to have the fresh rubber at the time it's needed. XRL Fearless is in. Behind Haru. Has Nutters 91 thrown the race victory away by staying out under the safety car? Enema Mr. Indigo, meanwhile, goes into the box. He's only a few seconds behind Fearless. He's got to be careful he doesn't get double stacked here by his teammate. Bobbert, what happened?
I just went into turn 4 and I just took my normal line, and for some reason the curb just spat me out, and I've basically just lost control of the back end, and it just went into the wall.
So you've literally been spat out by the curb and it's thrown you into the wall. Absolute disaster, because the pace looked okay. I mean, you were at the high end of the points initially and then dropped off, but you were still in the fight. Obviously, probably looking at a few lower points. I mean, did you expect that maybe somewhere around 6th, 7th or 5th would have been for the taking later in the race?
No, I was going for third swish. I was doing an alternative strategy where I was going to go longer on the prime stints and go for an option set at the end. So when I saw what happened behind, when Taco mentioned what happened between him and Andy, there was a good enough gap for me, so I wouldn't lose a position after that. And I was catching, say, Yariu, who was ahead of me by around about a second a lap. I think his tyres clearly were going off, so yeah, my target was to get third in the end with going on the options, but well, never mind.
Well, in the meantime, I mean, you've completely reset the race. We had a big series of gaps, but at the same time, we had a couple of cluster fights. We had Ciaru versus Fearless. We had Velocity versus Nutters 91. But now, all that's changed completely. And of course, Nutters 91 electing not to pit. Now, of course, right behind him already are the other runners. They've all got fresh tyres on. He doesn't. If he boxes now, he's at the back of the snake. So Nutters 91, whether he likes it or not, is stuck on these ancient tyres. And as a result of that, he could be really under pressure at the start of the restart of the race.
I presume then that I caused a safety car.
Unfortunately, I believe he did.
Bad news for you, obviously. 2 points picked up in the last 3 races. It was only a few weeks ago we were sort of talking to you about chasing down and overtaking NMR Mr. Indigo for second in the championship. That has all obviously changed now. Can you fight back and get it again?
Well,
I think you'll be down to P7 in the championship now.
I'm P6. Well, depending on where we finish, depending on where people finish today, yeah. I mean, yeah, everybody has a bad run at some point in the season, so this is my point clearly. Hopefully, you know, from Spa I can pick it back up again. I mean, it's another good for me. I mean, I thought it was going to be, you know, rubbish here in Hungary because it's all compared to last season, but it just shows what, you know, what one season's difference can make. So I was actually surprised I was running up in the top 5 as it was anyway, but as I said, never mind. Just wait for next week.
Well, it has completely reset the race. It's got the first 8 behind. 9.
WF1 Raikkonen has chipped in on the stream saying, who do we think will win now the safety car's going out? He's back Nutters 91. I personally don't back Nutters 91 because he hasn't stopped for his tyres under the safety car. So he's going to be really vulnerable. I expect Velocity now is the one in the pound seat to take victory. But throughout this, XRL Fearless has now been brought back up to him, and we've seen his pace on lower fuel.
That's
now there's less than half race distance to go, all of a sudden he's a threat as well. And also, what about Ciaru? We saw his pace was quite solid on the low run as well. We might well be in for a bit of a classic here towards the end. And the big difference maker, one of the huge ones, right in there in the middle of this, P5, NMR Mr. Indigo, right behind him, Ice Cold Andy. That's the safety car's peeled in. The safety car looks like it's going in because all of a sudden Nutters 91 is backing up the field on board with Ciaru in the McLaren. Green flag is gone, so now it's going to be a key test of things. No DRS across first 2 laps. XRL Fearless changed next velocity as Nutters 91's already gone wide at the final turn, but X Velocity's just not got the traction. Meanwhile, Ciaru is looking at the back of XRL Fearless. He's using the curves, gets swept into the slipstream here, and Fearless therefore goes very, very defensive as NMR Mr. Indigo tries to attack as well. The Red Bull drivers sandwich there for Ciaru in 4th place. Already, we can see at the front, Velocity's got a great run here on Nutters 91 in the Williams, heading into turn 2. Nutters 91 definitely not as confident, and to make matters worse, Velocity is on fresh options, while ahead of the Nutters 91 is on old primes.
Here goes Velocity.
Indeed, trying to go for turn 4, but it's just too far behind. Oh, cuts the inside there. That will be a warning from in-game and sure, but XRL Fearless and also Ciaru have stuck with these guys. And meanwhile, I think also Ice Cold Andy stuck with them too in 5th place. Or is that NMR Mr. Indigo? It's Indigo indeed in the Red Bull. We've got a look at this. This is like the old 1960s when Jackie Stewart won by half a second. This is unbelievable. Meanwhile, Ciaru gets a bit too wide at the middle of the sector there. XRL Fearless gets some cleaner roads as a result. Stares at the back of Velocity, who's chasing after Nutters 91.
Wide.
Nutters 91 was really struggling on those tyres. He should have boxed while he had the chance. Ciaru, oh, what was that from Fearless? Goes totally off the track of 13. I mean, what was that from Velocity? He goes wide at 14. These drivers are all really finding it difficult. Maybe they're not able to get the tyre temperature, and they're all running wide. As a result, NMR Mr. Indigo nearly rear ends the back of Ciaru and the McLaren, who's got a great chance now on XRL Fearless. But up ahead, all eyes are on Velocity. Velocity's right in the slipstream in Nutters 91. He's one right to the side to turn 1. He's had the DRS. Is he going to get the move done round turn 1? Yes, he is.
Fearless makes it.
What about Fearless gets through? Fearless follows him into 2nd place. Unbelievable.
Fearless has got a great chance of winning. He's on the
NMR Mr. Indigo, meanwhile, has got past Ciaru. NMR Mr. Indigo is now attacking the back of Nutters 91, who goes wide for turn 3, but Nutters 91 has just been able to resist for now. NMR Mr. Indigo is under big pressure here. Oh, he goes a bit wide at turn 4. Ciaru as a result.
Here we go. We know the way.
And he's got Ice Cold Andy. Ciaru's on the side. He's going around the inside line for the chicane. Can he get the McLaren stops? He's on the inside line. All 4 times on the right line. He's got to go. Ice Cold Andy chops past him. Ice Cold Andy is now into 5th place. All of a sudden, this is going all over the place like a slot machine. And Ice Cold Andy goes too wide for the Suzuka section. That lets Ciaru back into it, into turn 12. But then Ciaru goes a little too wide, gets out of the gas. And ahead of them, meanwhile, NMR Mr. Indigo is all over the back of Nutters 91. Oh, what was that for Ciaru? Suicide lunge outside, all 4 tires off the line. Ice Cold Andy holds up for now. And then they brush tyres. This is crazy. What are we watching? This is like watching a touring car race. Meanwhile, up ahead, Nutters 91 is diving into the pits now. He's going to be at the back of the snake. He's just kissed his point finish. Goodbye.
He's just throwing it away, surely, unless he wants to get some clean air. I don't know, but what a bad choice from Nutters.
Ice Cold Andy is now 4th. Emil Ciaru's got past NMR Mr. Indigo into 5th place for Ciaru. It was Jambo in the Toro Rosso. So Psychic Taco now in T7 looking at the back of his Ciaru, looking at the back of Ice Cold Andy, who's trying to chase after NMR Mr. Indigo. Those two very close indeed. Up in front though, Velocity and Fearless have got a bit of a gap on these guys now. Oh, Ice Cold Andy gets 2 goals. Ciaru dives up the inside, takes advantage of the mistake. What driving!
They are just yo-yoing positions at the moment like anything.
Ciaru gets a better traction out of the chicane. Ice Cold Andy tries to get close as he dares. Following behind NMR Mr. Indigo, trying to get out of the dirty air. Goes a bit too wide. All drivers pushing close to the curb as Jambo and Saki Taco are bearing down on these two now as well. Very close driving through turn 12. And you can see a little bit of a gap starting to stretch between NMR Mr. Indigo and Ciaru, who gets a bit too deep into turn 13. That allows Ice Cold Andy to close a little up to him. Into the tight hairpin of 14 as Indigo goes slightly wide. Ciaru's going to have a chance down on the DRS towards turn 1. So DRS active from Ice Cold Andy, DRS active from Ciaru. These guys trying to bear down on NMR Mr. Indigo, the Ferrari, the Red Bulls rather. And you can see that Ice Cold Andy's getting closer to the back of Ciaru, but the tow from that Red Bull just making the McLaren out of range for now. Heading out towards turn 2, both drivers late on using the DRS there. Lost about a 10 for the extra speed boost, and that gives NMR Mr. Indigo alive as Andy tried to dive at the inside of 2 there. Had to back out of it at the last second.
28 laps to go. We've got another driver in the pits who's now gone to last. Nutter's not quite last now, but he's got a big uphill struggle now. But yeah, Ciaru really on the back of the Red Bull driver here of NMR Mr. Indigo.
Well,
2 Red Bulls in the top 3. Good day for them so far.
Smitty Lad's been rather cruel here. He said that Nutters 91 is emulating the real-life Williams pit stop strategies. And Ice Cold Andy goes wide, and Jambo size past him. Psychic Taco, meanwhile, is attacking the back of Ice Cold Andy now. All of a sudden, he starts to fall back through the field. Meanwhile, I was being asked by Crazy Fish as to whether Ciaru possibly cut turn 4. I don't think he did. I think it was because Ice Cold Andy went wide and he got past. But again, this is the kind of thing that gets reviewed after the race. It's not something we comment on during the stream. As Jambo tries to get close to the back of Ciaru, but he's got Ice Cold Andy bearing down on him. And Ciaru, meanwhile, trying to get close to the back of NMR Mr. Indigo. Up ahead, meanwhile, Velocity and XRL Fearless lying astern at the moment. Neither driver really getting close to each other.
This is turning out to be one of those classic F1 races, isn't it?
Ice Cold Andy's got a great chance now, next Jambo in towards turn 2. Jambo gets a little squirrel under the brakes because it's a bit too wide. As a result, Ice Cold Andy attacks, trying to go around the outside of turn 3. He's still in the white lines, and I think he fancies a suicide lunge to 4. No, he backs out of it and thinks better of it. Meanwhile, Ciaru goes a little wide at turn 4, as does Jambo, who goes very wide. All these drivers are really attacking a bit too much through there, and are gaining a bit too much of an advantage.
Was Jambo nearly losing it at the chicane there, and he had to slow down. He could have...
Good driving from Andy to avoid that.
Yeah, definitely. If he just... I don't know, maybe... I don't think he could have. That's really the only line he could have done. Ciaru lagging a little bit there, and now closing the gap is Jambo on him there. Frankly, that is close.
Meanwhile, Ciaru has made a bit of a mistake at turn 13, and all of a sudden Jambo's now caught to the back of him. Dragging along Ice Cold Andy and Psychic Taco. Meanwhile, Steve over on the stream, Stuart's pointing out that he thinks it's a big tactical battle up front for the victory. He thinks Velocity is going to try and do 2 option runs, while behind him, Fearless might do 1 prime run. Well, I don't know who's going to be on the faster strategy with that, but Ice Cold Andy with DRS, attacking the back of Jambo, who gets a bit of a tighter line to turn 1, and Ice Cold Andy has to filter in for now. These guys all really seesawing around at the moment.
I don't even think that. I can't see how 2 options can go almost 30 laps and 1 option can go the same distance. I can't see how prime tyres can go 30, just under 30 laps. I just can't see it.
Jambo goes wide, almost like he's gone back to downtown Budapest there. And as a result, Ice Cold Andy's got a great chance now. But on the stream, Paragon, here's one that's opening a can of worms for a debate for you. He says, Andy looks to be a shadow of his former self. This is hard to watch. Should he be thinking about retirement? Answer on a postcard, people. I'm going to enjoy this one.
I disagree. I think Andy just hasn't had the time to put into the game as he did last season. Last season he started very, very well and he had something to fight for. This season he didn't start so well, hasn't had anything to fight for, and hasn't had the time to put into his championship push. But you look at him, he's on the pace of everyone.
And he's in the pit, speaking of that. He's gone into the box now on that 44. That frees Jambo up and also Psychic Taco. Meanwhile, up ahead, Seyaru has got a little bit of a gap now as well. So these guys are all starting to lie astern. In 7th place, ex-Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he's another driver who's hardly setting the field alight. He's being chased by I-Taps and the Sister Lotus. Indeed, Lewis Hamilton goes wide at turn 1, amateur's error, and Taps goes, thank you very much, and takes that away. Well, if you talk about a driver being a shadow of his former self, I think Hamilton's more in the one for that award at the moment.
Hamilton's definitely one. You know, last season he finished 3rd round here. This season
he finished 2nd overall.
2nd overall last season. Andy, yes, he's not had a great season, but the pace has been there. Australia was good. Today he's on the pace. He's on the pace of everyone. I would like to say that I think this division has got a lot faster since last season. Yes, we've lost F1 Nige, undoubtedly a really fast driver, but Nutters is back. He's quick. Valexity's took the full-time jump up. Bobbitt's took the jump up. We've also got a new driver in Taco. We've got Fearless who's jumped up.
We've also got Seyaru as well, and the McLaren is really keeping consistent with these guys at the moment.
Guys
running in P4, and he's currently chasing down the sister Red Bull of Enema Mr. Indigo, who's running in P3, doing a great job for Red Bull. As we said, Indigo's doing a good job.
Indigo is someone who's picked up his game since coming in at about career time last season. So I mean, you look at a lot of the guys; they're all new and they're all very, very quick. Whereas you look at some of the old guard from last season, not necessarily the quickest. I mean, Cuppers was there. Okay, that's
Paragon's gone below the belt here with this one. He says he thinks that Lewis Hamilton has become irrelevant, which is unthinkable for a man who almost won the championship. Ouch! Paragon, maybe it's good that you've retired, because I don't think you'd be getting much etiquette on the track from these guys after that one.
He's like Roy Keane on the football commentary, I'd say.
Boo! Do not talk about that sacrilegious piece of crap on air.
I have to relate him to someone.
Meanwhile, in the meantime, look, Seyaru trying to get close to the back of Enema Mr. Indigo. Enema Mr. Indigo starting to struggle a bit here compared to the McLaren driver. But again, Indigo is on the option tyres. They will wear out faster. Seyaru is on the primes, going the more conservative approach. But hey, sometimes you've got to be conservative to win. You've got to be more consistent. Look at Nico Rosberg, of course, when he got 2nd place in Canada. He did that by being conservative and consistent once his engine started to falter and focused on getting the points. That's how Niki Lauda got his world title in 1984.
Yep. Right, yeah. I don't even know who's going to win this race. I wouldn't rule out Nutters. He has shot himself in the foot, but clean air and everything, it might benefit him. I'm not sure. Time will tell. Give it another 10-15 laps and we'll know.
He completely relieved over his chances when he didn't pit with everybody else when the safety car came on. It's just like, it's one of the things you should always do. Get rid of your worst tyres because, you know, it's a free pit stop. At the end of the day, you know, even if you have to stop later, you're already planning another stop anyway, so you're not going to lose any time.
Exactly.
But Paragon's been slightly more kind here, saying he thinks that ex-Lewis Hamilton's on the same journey as F1 Nige at the end of his career. as a little more conservative to say he's become irrelevant. As Ciara's got really close to Mr. Indigo now, he makes a big mistake at turn 6 and 7. Ciara and the McLaren punching well above the odds here, doing a great job on debut.
And he's on the prime tyre. Look at the NMR Mr. Indigo in front of him. He's on option, so Ciara, don't count him out for a podium.
No, definitely don't come up for the podium. He's probably a bit too far behind Fearless and also Velocity to be consistent for the victory. But then again, we saw a safety car come out. Anything's bloody possible. They're going in for turn 14, and you can see Indigo's really struggling there. He's really finding it hard to get the power down on that car. And as a result, Ciara's getting closer. But I also think that Indigo's got the straight line speed to stay ahead. I mean, DRS there active on the McLaren, and that gap's not shrinking.
Starting to come down, but it's all just too late.
Oh, but Indigo makes a mistake. It's a bit too deep into turn 1. So therefore now Ciara's got a great chance here. He's used his curves, he's used the DRS, and now Nutters has retired from the race. Well, so much for him being potentially into a chance here. And the host, we've lost the host.
Nutters, can't do that. It'd be interesting to see why he left, because he knows better, but...
You know, the reason why he left is simple. Why did I not stop in the safety car?
Sloppy.
But interestingly now, we have a battle for the lead. All of a sudden, these two are close right up. We've got XRL Fearless less than half a second adrift of Velocity in the Lotus. These guys are now game on here for the battle. Nutters, what happened?
I'm an idiot, that's what happened. Why didn't I pit in the safety car? Why? Why would I stay out?
We just said that.
I'm such an idiot. I was like, oh no, there's definitely not enough laps to do it in my pit strategy, and then I was like, I'm an idiot. I'm like 2 laps out. I could have easily fit it into my strategy. And then I thought, oh, Velocity's gone on to the options. Maybe he's going to do an extra pit stop. And then I was just sitting there counting in my head as I was doing those laps, and I was like, I'm never going to catch any of these guys. And my fingers are like...
Ciara's got his best chance on them, Mr. Indigo. Sorry to cut across you there, Nutters, because he's got a great chance here. Ciara in the McLaren pulls out the slipstream to the right of the Red Bull, gets on the brakes. Can he get it stopped to turn 1? Oh, meanwhile, Indigo tries to wall of death around the outside, karting style, and Indigo makes it stick. Then the DRS flap opens. Ciara might try and do the same thing into turn 2, but Indigo might just up the high ground, goes a bit deep. Ciara, has he got the grip? Can he hang it on through turn 3? These two very, very close, but Ciara takes a brilliant 3rd place.
You do know the host has changed now, yeah?
To Fearless, yeah, whatever, dude. I need to go take a shower. My fingers are bleeding. I'm sweating.
That was a good race, though. You were right in the hunt as well up until the safety car. So it just show how competitive it was.
I had a real chance of giving Velocity a fight for the win. We were really, really similar paced. He pulled out a gap because he pitted, I think. He got two laps earlier on me, which would have come back later in the race. But we were staying about 5.1 to 5.7. It was just going back and forth, seconds apart. So, and then he got a lag spike, got a 5-second lag, and just jumped in behind me, and that's how I got the lead.
Ah,
okay, cool.
We were wondering how that happened.
Yeah,
so now we know.
So he jumped behind me, and then with the turbulent air, he was just staying around a second behind me. And then, yeah, Bobbitt's clearly crashing on purpose. There's no way that was an accident. And then brought out the safety car. And, yeah, Well,
apparently the curbs just shot him out on the exit T4.
Target Tarko, meanwhile, the DRS has just got past next Jambo in the Toro Rosso. But Jambo's not giving up to try and concede that 5th place. Tarko goes a little wide in the Mercedes, but Jambo just has to filter in. He's not got the pace, and that Mercedes driver makes the move stick.
It was a little glitchy out there at parts. There was one part, I don't know if you guys caught it on the stream, where it was fairly early on, like lap 9. I think Fearless just like glitched onto my inside in turn 3 or something. I didn't even know he was there, and then he was just ghosting around me. But it all seemed to settle down after a little bit. It was a decent enough race. Everyone seemed to take it.
Yeah, it was so close. I mean, the first sort of 15-20 laps of that race, everyone was sort of on each other. There was battles everywhere. The safety cars just brought everyone back together, which just helped again. But yeah, it's been a very, very good race between these guys. It would have been interesting to see how TRL Button would have coped with the pressure
XRL
that somebody
Bobbers
should
has
have
just
given,
said to Nutters He did not crash on purpose. As XRL Fearless using DRS to get close to the back of X Velocity. These guys both very close together on track now, but Velocity's just got the high ground at this moment. DRS open from XRL Fearless is behind them. I think that's about Mr. Indigo, and one of the other drivers in 4th and 5th get the cover now.
And the Merc Taco.
Oh, Fearless goes all 4 tires off at the outside of turn 3 there. Gets that completely wrong into 4. Fearless trying to attack, keeps it just inside the white lines. Very, very close. Really good position here. Is also Velocity tries to get closer, tries to get the gap, but Fearless is not letting him get away. Into the chicane of 6 and 7. Oh, he's taking too much of the inside curve there, Fearless. That sausage curve will really spit you out if you're not careful. Going through the Suzuka section. Both drivers have got tyres that are wearing quite badly. Fearless is on the primes. Velocity on the options, but both guys pitted at the same time. Who's got the better wear?
Well, Nutters, it was interesting to see your point of view, so I hope you can make next week. I could do with it. But obviously you don't know yet.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can come next week. I might be able to, but doubt it very much, just because my cousins are over.
How old are they? Because if they're not that old, you can just like just do whatever you want.
Yeah, I could do, but that they'll be coming in. They'll be like, "Oh, can we play?" No, busy. I don't know. If I can jump on, then I will, but I doubt it.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
I've never been able to do Spa in Thorough, which I'm a bit gutted about. 3 seasons in a row now, I've not been able to do my thing.
Sort it out. Sort it out. Get some stuff arranged. You know you can make it.
In the meantime, now Fearless actually has got a better run here on the Velocity through 6 and 7. Velocity's tyres might be reaching the end of the life here. He's really struggling through that first part of the second section. And as a result, Fearless has started to catch very, very quickly indeed. Fearless might want to try and box here and try and get the high ground under the pit stops. Velocity now is barely half a car length ahead of him. Into turn 13, Velocity going wide there. That grip has definitely gone from that Lotus. I won't be surprised if Velocity dives in at the end of this lap as Stewart predicted.
Oh, he runs
and indeed,
wide.
Velocity goes wide. And the Fearless goes ahead. Now is Fearless going to box and take advantage? No, he isn't. And Velocity dives in, so Velocity's going for the undercut here. And I imagine they'll go on to the prime tyres.
This is Fearless's race now. These tyres are
Meanwhile,
just
Bobbert, I get the feeling it might have been sarcasm from Nutters in the commentary. There's no need to take it personally.
There's just the mind games between those two. It's interesting to hear.
Meanwhile, Paragon actually was asking a question. Do none of these drivers respect the rules when Nutters left the race? Because, well, it isn't the rules that you can't leave if you're the host, but... Well, we also heard Nutters say he doesn't care, so that's an interesting one.
I don't know with him. As long as no one gets disconnected at the end of the day, that's what's most important. Try and keep the host to stick in at all times, but you know, I've been guilty of doing it before, not intentionally, but well, you could just say I left intentionally, say yeah, but I didn't think about the consequences.
Oh, Jumbo makes a mistake, goes off the track at 6 and 7, and Andy once again forced to get on the brakes for Jumbo. These two were former teammates last season, but I get the feeling they'll be off each other's Christmas cards list after this race. Andy will be furious at that.
Well, it looks like it's going to calm down, so I might do a few more corner cutting checks now.
No, maybe not, because that's good. Andy's looking at the back of Jumbo
Yeah,
like his eyes are on the feast here. Jumbo goes wide in turn 14. Nice cut. Andy's got the title line, therefore, into 15. Jumbo stays out. Look like he might have been going to the pits there. Andy takes a more conservative line, but he's going to be right behind the Toro Rosso. DRS and XRL Fearless lost connection. We've lost XRL Fearless. He was in second place. Well, we've lost our second place runner. We were on for a classic race to the flag. And all of a sudden, Velocity's got it easy because his main rival has dropped out of the race.
Yeah, that is Nutters' fault there.
Sakitaka now in second place. Our current interim leader is Seiharu of all people. Well, if you got the badge, why don't you wear it? He's in second place. Second place, Sakitako. Then in third is Ice Cold Andy, having made that critical pass on ex-Jambo in the Toro Rosso. Down in 5th place, though, is Velocity. So he's the one who's got the chance now to get the high ground. Question is, how long can Ciaru's tyres last? Because if they last long enough to go onto the options, he might suddenly become a threat for the victory. Paragon, we'll note your comment, but I'm not reading it on there. As Andy watches, Psychic Taco's gone into the pits now, so he's fancying the fresher rubber. And yes, Ciaru is in. So let's ride on board with Velocity, who's going to be not too far behind. I get the feel he's going to pass him with ease here. So Ciaru's not going to get anywhere near him. But Ciaru is now on prime tyres. Paragon, we ask that you please keep the comments as impersonal as possible. That's beneath our league, putting comments like that up. Psychic Taco, meanwhile, has got ex-Lewis Hamilton behind him now, but Taco has pitted, so he's going to have the better tyres here. And Hamilton, well, he's basically a pit stop behind Psychic Taco in 8th place. He's definitely not going to be feeling happy about the way he performed here this weekend. In 5th place, Ciaru, after his pit stop, has come out in a decent position. 4th place is NMR Mr. Indigo, so that's going to be a bit of a scrap towards the end. As Velocity, he passed Jambo, but then went off the track and has let him back through. Good driving from Velocity there, and realised that he had track extended to get the move done, so gave the position back. Meanwhile, into turn 14, Jambo being a bit erratic, it has to be said. I get the feeling Jambo's going to be diving into the box on this lap, and indeed he does. So the move is moot, but still good driving for Velocity there. And meanwhile, up ahead, we've also had Psychic Taco dive into the box as well. Not Psychic Taco, sorry, it was Ice Cold Andy, I think, even. Yeah, Ice Cold Andy's gone out for another set of option tyres, I think. No, he's just going into the box now. What tyres is he going to be on? Prime tyres. He's gone to Price to the end, so that's going to put him in a position here. Jambo in P6 is going to come out behind him. And meanwhile, Ice Cold Andy's going to be very, very close to Psychic Taco. He goes a bit wide, almost goes off the track there. So Ice Cold Andy definitely not in the position where he wants to be. And Lewis Hamilton, who's stayed out in all of this, is now in P6. Ciaru back in 3rd place. He's done a great job here and on chance to get an excellent podium on debut. As NMR Mr. Indigo now becomes the lead Red Bull. Meanwhile, we should try and get XRL Fearless in so we can get his comments about his retirement.
Something tells me he doesn't want to catch Jack.
I get the feeling he won't either, but we'll have to see. NMR Mr. Indigo, meanwhile, is actually catching Velocity, surprisingly. Velocity's not pulling away from Indigo. So all of a sudden, we've got another scrap for the victory here. This has been a real seesaw of a race here, viewers. An old-fashioned race where anyone's got a chance of winning, kind of like Valencia in 2012, on a track that was unfancied, that turned out to have anyone having a chance of victory. This has done pretty much the same thing. But Indigo not close enough to get the DRS at the moment, as Ciaru is behind him by about 3 seconds. So Ciaru trying to make sure he finishes ahead of Taps, who's now in P4. Surprisingly, the Crystal Lotus has done really well to pull himself back into this. Psychic Taco, though, is in P5 and only just behind him. Meanwhile, behind that guy, Ice Cold Andy side by side with Jambo. These two have been literally sawed together at the hip today. Unbelievably close between these two. Jambo tries the outside karting line. Ice Cold Andy's going a little deep, but he just gets the traction to get that move done. Andy finally gets past Jambo, and he'll be breathing a big sigh of relief, I don't doubt. Meanwhile, Psychic Taco gets a decent run out of turn 5 there as it's Taps doing quite a decent job, but I get the feeling he is going to be passed here by the Mercedes driver sooner rather than later. But a great performance from him to pull himself by his bootstraps back up into 4th place, having initially been running down as low as 12th. Just goes to show, keeping it in there and hanging on gets you the points, because Noah's 91, if you're watching this, you were P8 when he was P12.
Exactly. I think at the end of the day, not like saying, not saying it's like Nutters' fault, but
Taco goes too close to the wall, hits it, but somehow doesn't damage his car. He is the luckiest driver I've seen all weekend. He literally hit the pit wall and got away with it. DRS lap open, but he's just too far behind to attack Taps. But he got very, very lucky there.
He's looking at a move, yeah, on Taps. This is P4 and 12 points. But going back to my comment, I'm not going to apply this 21. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people have quite big egos, and you know, for them, they've got to do well, or they won't race. It's not about them. It's about
Taco and Taps having a... Oh! I'm not sure if Taps braked and moved a bit too sharply there. It's like Taco hit him and again did not get any damage. His car must have made the same stuff that Ruben Barrichello's Braum was made the same stuff at Australia 2009. Really aggressive stuff from those two drivers, really attacking here. Oh, Sagitaro's off the track. Oh, well, you're right, here's connection, because Taps is now back ahead of him. And all of a sudden, Taco's under big pressure from Ice Cold Andy. And the reason's simple, he doesn't know where the Lotus driver is. Meanwhile, I've got to say, guys, on the stream, please. Indeed, and Mr. Indigo attacking. He's attacking the outside of Velocity. He's not got it done on the inside of 2. Oh, they brushed tyres. They've got to make sure they give each other a rip into turn 2. Can Indigo get stopped on the brakes? Velocity just around the outside. They're still side by side to turn 3. Who's going to have the high ground brushing tyres again? They're still side by side. But Indigo goes off the track and has to filter into second.
Sayaru, look at him. He's in third. It
only takes a couple of laps like that, exactly, a couple of joules like that, and this all goes off completely into turns 6 and 7. Oh, close driving here. And once again, you can see that Mr. Indigo seems much more confident than Velocity. Velocity now is under huge pressure. He's got the victory in his grasp. He's got to make sure he doesn't let it fall away. But Indigo, meanwhile, is on all-out attack. Having seen his teammate retire, it's up to him to bring the home victory for Red Bull. And meanwhile, don't not count out the third place runner in the McLaren of Sayaru, who's caught up to the pair of them, as Indigo goes a little wide at 14. Unbelievably, we have a free car duel for the race win with 11 laps to go. Well, go on then, viewers. Flip a coin. Which side's it going to land on? Sayaru with DRS on the back, and then Mr. Indigo, who's got it on X-Velocity, who defends to the middle of the track like XRL OGS, and Sayaru finds a cheeky move on the inside here. Almost side by side with Indigo, but he's just not got the traction at this time. However, these guys are going to be tripping all over each other as Indigo gets the inside line. Sayaru pushes the outside, has to get out of the gas to avoid going on the marbles.
This is close now. Indigo all over the back going up into turn 4. He can't really make a move there. It's one-way traffic. But look at the Sayaru.
Sayaru got the better line from the pair of them. Yeah, he got the better line for the pair of them through 4, and now he's caught up to the back of them through 6 and 7. It's going to be all about braking here, as Sayaru gets a bit too close to the white lines. But look at this. Would you ever expect to see this on the 60th lap of 70? As they're all ahead. In the meantime, Velocity goes a little wide in the Suzuka section. Indigo's now right behind him, and so is Sayaru going through turn 12. Sayaru's getting right close to the pair of these guys. Anyone can look at Indigo, takes a look into 13. Sayaru wants to go around the outside, has to get out of the move. This is insane. Paragon reckons it's going to be Sayaru in the McLaren who wins. He's back in the debutant. Well, he's shown he can race it, so who knows? But Mr. Indigo's shown great dogged determination in the Red Bull. Better traction than the McLaren, though. DRS active is going to negate the advantage from the Red Bull. And Sayaru's going to try to do a late braking move into turn 1. Is he fancying a go? Yes, he is. He's on the brakes. Oh, they push tyres. Sayaru gets a bit out of shape. So does Indigo. They're side by side, heading on towards turn 2. Ahead of them, meanwhile, we've seen a great position here from Velocity, and then Mr. Indigo goes a little wide. Sayaru tries to dive up, undercut him into turn 3. Sayaru's all over the back of this Red Bull. These 3 drivers are putting an absolute clinic here into turn 4. Surely he can't fancy him. Sayaru goes off the track, and he has to filter into 3rd.
Velocity has track position. That's what matters most, and in fact, I think he may have broken DRS here.
Velocity needed something to happen, and Sayaru has rode to his rescue. For now, it'll be interesting to see if these two, Mr. Indigo and Sayaru, can push each other on. We've only got 8 laps left after this, viewers. It's been a pretty frenetic race with all kinds of chaos. that's happened on, and it's all about being able to survive, and these guys have been battling hard, almost like they're on the battlefront here. Well, Stuart was saying initially we've been robbed of a classic race like Bahrain, but now he's back in Seyaru, as all of a sudden we've got 3 people. Andy Coy says the screen's getting a bit laggy for him, as Seyaru dives on the inside to turn 1. Seyaru's going to have the high ground here, but NMR Mr. Indigo has proven himself to be great on the option tyres, and on any kind of tyres at this moment in time. Into turn 2, but Seyaru's just enough to broke away. Can Seyaru chase after Velocity, and can Velocity find himself in one more duel? People are saying the screen's getting a bit laggy. Guys, I wish I could do something about it, but it's too close to the end. I'm not stopping this now. Into turn 5, NMR Mr. Indigo trying to get the attack on here, but he's just too far behind as Seyaru has just broken ahead. Meanwhile, down in P4 and P5, Psychic Taco is still in a duel with Ice Cold Andy. These two are still going at it as well. This is sensational stuff. Ice Cold Andy better on the traction from the middle part of Sector 2. Psychic Taco trying to defend with all his might here. Goes a little wide at turn 12. Ice Cold Andy sizes him up as ahead of them. Meanwhile, you've got NMR Mr. Indigo, Seyaru, and X Velocity in the podium positions for now. But that could change at any time. Paragon, the 125, thinks Velocity is in real trouble now. Well, there's a gap at the moment, so he might just hang on. As Ice Cold Andy looks at the back of Psychic Taco, going around the final corner.
Oh, no, he hasn't.
But he's got a DRS, so Ice Cold Andy's got a great chance now with Psychic Taco. Pulls out the slipstream, pulls to the right. Can he get the car stops into turn 1? Psychic, oh, he's outbraked himself there. No, he hasn't. Where did he find the braking power there? Unbelievable from Andy. And now Psychic Taco's attacking back at him. But Ice Cold Andy's got the DRS, and provided he gets his braking right, which he doesn't, he goes a little wide, and Psychic Taco now starts to attack through turn 3. But Ice Cold Andy's got the move done. Meanwhile, Andy Corbett, do apologise if it's starting going a bit silly, but Channel 1's there in case this one starts to fail. On my screen, I'm not seeing any problems. But then again, I'm not streaming it live. I'm actually the one broadcasting it, so I have no idea. Meanwhile, Seyaru trying to get closer to Velocity, but that gap has line astern in the same gap that he's got back to Indigo. Seyaru is on all-out attack here. He has nothing to lose.
He's got the best chance of winning now. Indigo's dropped off. He can't match these guys.
Velocity's gone a little wide there at turn 14. And Seyaru, who is on younger tyres, don't forget than Velocity. Velocity pitted earlier, and if Velocity is getting pushed ragged, this could make things fall away. DRS now active for Seyaru. Seyaru is in the DRS zone. This is where battle is joined.
This is where Indigo might fancy getting back into it. If these guys get close and battle, their lap times will not be so good. And that could be where Indigo gets involved.
And Ice Cold Andy isn't far behind Indigo. Let's not rule him out yet. So, unbelievably, we could have anyone from the top 5 here battling for turn 1 at the top of turn 1 for the top position in the F1 division. All the coverage tonight, of course, brought to you by GT Omega Racing and GamePod.co.uk with myself, Pete Markroft, and Dan Fisk in the box. It's been a bit of a roller coaster as Velocity goes wide at turn 5, loses a load of pace, and Seyaru is right underneath him. Seyaru is all over. Velocity goes wide at turn 7. Unbelievable. Seyaru has now got a great chance here. Seyaru, Velocity once again goes wide. Seyaru on the outside. Can he get his move done to turn 12? He can! He takes the lead! Seyaru is in P1! The debutant is now in the lead, and Velocity, he's chasing after him and going wide at every lap. I think his tyres have gone. Velocity's tyres have been burned, and NMR Mr. Indigo is now under big pressure to attack him.
What a race. He's still doing 21, so the lap time's good from Velocity. He's got the DRS. He'll be closing in with every second down that main straight. He just doesn't have enough. He'll get a second burst of DRS going down into turn 2. Again, just closing. It's not going to be getting any overtakes done, but that gap now only about half a second. He may try and get a move done yet.
Well, it depends on how good his tyres can hang on, and he's got to be careful. He can't afford to make a really rash move and then find himself being taken off the track and passed by NMR Mr. Indigo. So Velocity's now got to make that decision that Nico Rosberg made at Canada. Is discretion the better part of valor? And can he hang on for second place? Or does he go all-out attack for the victory?
Fearless would have been right in this as well, wouldn't he? This would be.
Fearless would have been in the lead.
Yeah, he probably would be. Actually, you're right.
And you can sit down and wonder what might have been all you like, but the fact is you've got to finish in order to get the points, and Velocity now is still not falling away from Ciaru. This race is not over, as Ciaru gets close to the pit wall, nearly prangs it and has to get out, and the DRS is now active for Velocity, who's closing at a race of knots. Here we go! Battle being joined here, and Ciaru lets him through. Ciaru tries to drive around the outside though. Can he have the better traction to attack here? I don't think he can. So Ciaru now back in second place, but he's attacking Velocity, who nearly pushes him off the track at turn 2. This is incredibly close. Ciaru gets a decent run for turn 3, and I think he's going to fancy a go around the outside of 4. That'll be brave, but he's going to try it anyway. Oh, I think that was both tyres over the white line there. That was Grosjean versus Massa, and I'm pretty certain that Ciaru was on the wrong side of the line by a millimetre.
That nearly was the best move I've seen.
He's not giving the place back over Ciaru. He's got to be careful. This would be terrible if he ended up throwing away the penalty now. That's not what we want to see. Heading into turn 14, Ciaru leads the race. Velocity, meanwhile, is being caught quickly by Enema Mr. Indigo, and crucially behind him, Ice Cold Andy. We nearly got a full car scrap for the lead here, viewers, with 4 laps to go. As Velocity makes the move, DRS assisted into turn 1. Ciaru tries to hang around the outside, they brush tyres. Ciaru just gets ahead, but gets poor traction at the end of the turn there, but Velocity's just not got the tyre life left, as Andy, meanwhile, attacks the back of Indigo, but Velocity fancies a move on the inside of 2 here. Can he drive around the outside of 3? Ciaru squeezes him out, and as a result, he has to let go. As Ice Cold Andy tried to go around the outside of 3 on the back there of Mr. Indigo, but Indigo just has the high ground.
Technically, he gave that position back, Ciaru, in that lap, within a lap.
Well, that's the matter for the stewards. I'm not getting involved on this. Velocity, meanwhile, tries to go through the inside of sector 2, but he's just not got the traction to attack here. Definitely not the move.
Actually, there he nearly got spun off by that curb. And that's Andy.
Well, the curbs
Andy's in 3rd.
And now Andy is going to be chasing after Velocity as well, because these guys are all very close on track all of a sudden.
He does have the freshest of all of the tyres available to all of these guys, so he may well be the dark horse for the win. Jordan Kelly saying Mr. Ice Cold Andy shouldn't have been champion last season with such awful pace this season. What was that?
DRS assisted by Velocity, trying to attack here into turn 1. Velocity gets on the brakes. Has he got the move done? Brushes slightly to nudge the front wing, and Ice Cold Andy now will fancy a chance to attack the back of this Ciaru in the McLaren, in the Ice Cold Andy, the dark horse who was really out of pace at one point, who someone on the stream wrote off as irrelevant, is now fighting for the victory. Well, maybe this is just like Jenson Button's race at Canada in 2011, as Velocity goes off the track. He does run off the track, and Ice Cold Andy, oh, they brushed tyres. Ice Cold Andy thought he could squeeze by there. These guys are all over each other. There's only 3 laps to go here as Velocity goes off at turn 7. Ice Cold Andy into turn 8, tries to make a move, but there's just no way through in this tight, twisty sector. And as a result of that as well, Ciaru has a bit of a gap. Velocity under pressure. Ice Cold Andy on fire. Making a move right out of turn 12. Can he fancy a lunge into 13? He's going to try it. Backs out of the move at the last second. Paragon backtracking, saying never count on Ice Cold Andy. Who's the one who said he was irrelevant again? Into turn 15, as Ice Cold Andy gets a tighter line of velocity. He's going to have the DRS, but also you expect velocity to have the same advantage on the McLaren as Seyaru ahead. Indeed he does, and the Lotus driver closing the gap, but Seyaru's got just enough of a gap for now. The question is, what kind of traction will Ice Cold Andy get out of this track as my Twitch goes berserk and gives me loads of messages I don't want? Go away! I'm too busy focusing on the race.
Seyaru's held off the DRS threat this lap, and there's only going to be one more or two more DRS chances on the next lap, so he may
There's going to be almost no time left for these guys as Ice Cold Andy goes off the track at turn 4. Not what he needs now. We don't want any more penalties involved. Please don't do that. That would really ruin what's been an absolutely phenomenal race. Into turn 6 and 7, and Velocity misses the chicane. He goes wide, and Ice Cold Andy charges past him into turn 8. Ice Cold Andy is second, and now has a chance to attack, unbelievably, for the victory. Obviously, Seyaru who's going to have to fend off the defending champion. And with 1 lap to go, who's going to take this one then?
Well, he wouldn't have put Andy in the possible #1 seat at the end of this race, but he's got a great chance. He's got the only chance you would think.
He certainly does. He's just hung on. Never ever give up. And Seyaru makes a mistake, and as a result, Andy's now going to have a chance here, and Andy should have DRS. Indeed, he does. So here we go. Curse being deployed by Ice Cold Andy, and he's going to make the move. Oh, Seyaru dives to the inside. Ice Cold Andy stays on the outside. Can he get the moves done? Seyaru goes a bit too deep. Andy tries to cut back across him. He's going to have the DRS here, but he's on the marbles. Poor traction. DRS opens. Seyaru in the McLaren. Ice Cold Andy in the Williams. Oh, they make contact, and they both got off. Then the Velocity's going to go through to take the lead. Unbelievable, shocking driving. Both guys go off. Ice Cold Andy is in third, and as a result, Seyaru's thrown away victory into turn 4, and Velocity hanging on with the skin of his teeth. Looks like he's going to take victory here. You could argue that that was suicidal from the pair of them. Both of them wanted the victory, and the man who everyone thought had ruined his tyres and lost the race is now the one who's going to be coming round turns 13, 14 and 15. He's just got to not make any mistakes. Velocity will never have expected the race will have been this hard. He's been under pressure. Indeed, he does go wide at 14, but Seyaru's just not got enough traction to attack. And Velocity, against all the odds, looks like he's going to take the checkered flag here in the Hungaroring, with Seyaru hanging on for second.
That's unbelievable.
Ice Cold Andy finishes a brilliant third.
Well, I'm sure they'll all have some comments to say about the last few laps there.
Meanwhile, Andy Kuiper's already said best race ever, and Andy, unbelievable stuff. Absolutely brilliant, they were all saying. It's been, well, a lot more action-packed than anyone would have dared out of the Hungaroring. But unbelievable driving all around. Of course, the race result is provisional. There still has to be some all other things involved. But for now, let's forget that. And let's focus on these guys who came in these positions. We'll invite them to the podium so they can give us their comments. I've accidentally invited the wrong person.
Hello.
Hiya. You didn't practice this.
Well, we'll go to you firstly. A race which seemed at first to be a bit of a case of who had the better strategy between you and XRL Fearless. And once Fearless got out, you probably were thinking, I'm in the pound seats to take the victory. Were you ever expecting to be racing the debutant Seyaru and Ice Cold Andy in those dying laps?
Definitely not. I think it was because I just pitted too early, and my tyres were just pretty much dead at the end. But I was disappointed that Fearless got disconnected, because I know me and him would have had a good battle to the end, I think.